Imagine finishing your graduation only for someone to scream "wicked woman" across the ballroom. Our boy Euphron is just a count's son trying to enjoy the night before the entire atmosphere turns toxic. He's already regretting even showing up to this party. The prince is going full drama mode, ending his engagement right in front of the high society crowd. Alana is caught in the crossfire of some serious accusations while Euphron wishes he could just teleport home. This is Alfaldo, a prince with a massive ego and a very questionable definition of friendship. Then there's Alana, a duke's daughter who just got her status deleted in a single sentence. Looking back, it's clear the prince was looking for any excuse to get aggressive and push her away. The real plot twist is that the prince is trying to pawn his former fiancée off on Euphron like she's some sort of participation trophy. This whole play was top secret. No parents, no kings, and definitely not the girl herself knew the prince was about to nuke his own future. Anyone eavesdropping would think this is a prank. The look in the prince's eyes says he is dead serious. Alana is a high-status catch, so keeping things as they were was a no-brainer. The real problem is this new girl Rifana, who supposedly has a direct line to the guardian dragon. She is the chosen one who communicates with the dragon, keeping the whole country powered up with a sacred glow. Messing with the dragon's favorite child is a death sentence for the kingdom. It is the ultimate trump card for the prince. With the fate of the nation on the line, nobody has the guts to speak up. The prince just dropped this bomb right in front of the king and Alana's father. Her grip tightens on her dress as the gravity of the situation sets in. Alana tries to plead her case, but the room goes cold as she is immediately shut down. The prince has no interest in hearing her side of the story. Alfaldo makes it clear that he is finished with the relationship. He demands she leave the premises immediately, effectively ending her social standing in seconds. Alana accepts the decision with whatever dignity she has left and prepares to leave. The reality of the situation finally takes a toll, causing her to stumble as she turns away. A hand reaches out to steady her before she can fall. The mysterious helper turns out to be Euphron, a former classmate who decided to step in at the perfect moment. Alana struggles to recognize him through the fog of the situation. Euphron does not say much, just letting the weight of the moment hang between them. She worries that his kindness will ruin his own reputation, but our boy is completely unbothered. He offers a bit of encouragement and asks if she can hold it together for the rest of the night. While they make their exit, Alana is still trying to figure out why he is even helping. Euphron admits he simply could not stand to watch his supposed friend treat her like a total jerk. It is a tough pill to swallow, but Alana did not even recognize the guy who just saved her. Her mind is stuck on the mess the prince left behind. Our boy is stunned when his dad suggests he marry Alana instead. He was just trying to be a good friend, not sign up for a lifetime commitment. His dad is not taking any excuses and tells him to get his head in the game. The chancellor is fuming over the public insult, and the king is scrambling to fix the fallout. Growing up as the only prince turned Alfaldo into a spoiled brat who does not care about consequences. By dumping a high-ranking duchess, he just made a powerful enemy for life. Choosing the holy maiden has left Alana with zero options, making it impossible for her to even settle for being a mistress. His father asks why he just watched from the sidelines while the disaster unfolded. Euphron tells his dad that he is overestimating what a simple son of a count can actually do. Cleaning up a royal mess like this should be a job for the fancy high-status families. The MC gives his dad a heavy stare since he already warned him about the influence of the new girl. His father is sweating bullets as he realizes he should have taken the reports more seriously. Turns out Rifana was quite the player, snagging the sons of 3 powerful Marcuses before the prince even entered the picture. Euphron never even met her since they were in different classes, but her reputation among the other girls was already at rock bottom. Alana's high status made her the perfect target for the prince and his group to tear down. They let rumors fly that she was bullying Rifana, and since nobody wanted to catch the dragon's smoke, they all just turned their backs on her. He's starting to see the price of his heroics. If he hadn't jumped in to save Alana, he wouldn't be stuck in the middle of this royal mess right now. Trying to bring some logic back to the room, he asks his dad why they're even talking about marriage so soon. The situation gets even heavier when his dad reveals the prince's latest power move. Alfaldo actually proposed to the king that Alana be exiled from the entire country. By claiming she offended the guardian dragon, the prince has cornered her completely. If the public believes the lie, even the chancellor won't be able to stop her from getting kicked out. This whole setup is starting to stink. Since everyone is terrified of the guardian dragon, nobody would actually dare touch Rifana, making it clear the royals are just framing Alana to get her out of the way. Fran decides to just go pack his bags since arguing with his dad is a dead end. The old man is still shouting in the background, but our boy has already accepted his fate. He knows his father is right about the duty involved, even if he hates being part of the royal mess. With no other options on the table, he prepares to follow orders and step up for Alana. The scene shifts to a meeting with the chancellor who is completely losing his mind with gratitude. He is practically vibrating with intensity as he hands over his daughter's future to a very stunned-looking Fran. The Chancellor is currently busy regretting every single time he ignored Fran's reports in the past. Our boy just keeps it professional, promising to do his absolute best to handle the situation. Things are getting a little too personal, so Fran has to politely ask the crying man to let go of his hand. The Chancellor is absolutely gushing, claiming he has never met someone as kind-hearted as our MC. The conversation turns serious as the Chancellor fumes over the prince's absolute lack of shame. He cannot believe the royal family had the nerve to exile Alana the very next day. Fran stays focused on the logic of the situation, questioning why there were zero discussions between the families before the split. He points out that the whole holy maiden excuse is a total lie since nobody ever actually laid a finger on Rafana. Fran stays professional, asking the Chancellor to handle the investigation quietly and trust his daughter. The old man loses it and launches himself at the boy with a tearful shout of his name. Alana says her final goodbyes to her emotional parents as they prepare for the separation. Her father clears his throat and tells her to stay safe while her mother watches in tears. While Alana stays lost in thought, our boy is just relieved he didn't let his professional mask slip in front of the nobles. As they leave the estate, she breaks the silence with a soft apology for involving him in her mess. Fran points out that she seems much more subdued than the bold woman he saw yesterday. She quickly defends herself, claiming she was just giving it her all for her big moment. His casual response hits her the wrong way. She starts fuming, wondering why he is not making any effort to console her after her apology. Fran moves the conversation forward, asking what her father told her about their destination. She realizes the only instructions she got were to leave the country by the end of the day. He admits he only heard about the plan this morning, which sends her into a panic. It finally dawns on her that they are currently traveling in a carriage with no actual destination in mind. Fran drops a reality check about their future housing. He mentions a relative in a neighboring country but admits they might end up homeless if they get rejected. This dude really just pointed a finger and left her with a 50-50 chance of having a roof. Our boy tries to sell the homeless life as a fun adventure where they can only move forward. Alana can only stare in disbelief at his toxic positivity. She notes that their old high-class life is officially a thing of the past. The vibe gets heavy as Fran offers a soft apology. He brushes off his own situation to ask if she is the one actually suffering right now. Alana tries to stay strong, but she clearly feels bad for dragging him into this mess. Fran looks at the carriage and decides this whole exile thing is actually a vibe. He leans on his hand with a smirk, claiming he is just excited to finally fulfill his forbidden love fantasies. He definitely has his priorities straight. Fran continues his sales pitch for their new life. He points out that they are finally free from annoying political drama and power struggles. He tells her to just treat the whole situation like a nice vacation. Alana tries to match his energy, though she is still a bit skeptical about what comes next. She hopes that things truly cannot get any worse from here. The MC just smiles and keeps the optimism at an all-time high. Time to move out. Fran waves a casual goodbye to the staff while Alana looks on in confusion. Then he drops a total bombshell by asking if she even knows how to ride a horse. Alana's high-class life hits another major roadblock when she realizes they aren't both riding the horse. Fran casually explains that between the heavy luggage and having only one animal, walking is their only real option. The reality of their situation finally sinks in as they face a long trek on foot. To make matters worse, tonight's luxury suite is just the great outdoors. Night falls, and the duo settles around a campfire for their first night in the wild. While Alana struggles through a modest meal, she finally asks the million-dollar question about where they actually are. Fran pulls out a map to show her their current location in the Green Dragon, Selgigios. Alana just stares at the paper like she's looking at a mysterious alien artifact. The real shocker drops when Alana sheepishly admits she has never actually seen a world map before. Fran can only stand there in total disbelief at how sheltered her upbringing really was. It is hard for him to process that a former queen candidate could be this clueless about basic geography. He offers to simplify things for her, and she is more than happy to accept the help. Time for a quick geography lesson on a world shaped like a massive dragon. He breaks down the different regions, from their homeland in the Blue Dragon to their current spot in the southeast. Fran breaks down the world origin story, pointing out how the islands were formed from the body of a king dragon. Alana listens in, wondering if this legendary beast is related to the guardian dragon she knows. She recaps the legends she actually knows, mentioning how life itself sprang from the king dragon. She even recognizes the dragon stones that come from their scales to power the world. Fran is pleasantly surprised by her knowledge as he digs through his bag. He pulls out a small Alcigio stone, but points out that its glow is already starting to fade away. He explains that these stones are basically crystallized scales whose power depends on the country's borders. The strength of that power is all tied to the guardian dragon's beloved child and their special glow. The legend says a cherished child brings prosperity and turns the dragon into a true protector. Fran notes that as Rafana matures, the borders will expand and make stones like this one useful again. Alana finally realizes that dragon stones lose all their juice the moment they cross the border. Our MC just looks at her, a bit surprised it took her this long to put it together. Fran can't believe she didn't know that, but Alana has a perfectly sheltered excuse. She sheepishly admits that in her high-class life, she has never actually left the country before. Fran mentions they can restock dragonstones in town, but Alana is losing her mind over commoners being able to afford them. Our MC is genuinely questioning how this girl was ever supposed to be a queen. After a long night, they finally reach the town and Alana is completely mesmerized by the view. It is her first time seeing what a real city actually looks like. Fran breaks it to her that they still have a ways to go before reaching their destination. Since she looks like she is about to drop, he decides they'll crash here for the night and grab a solid meal. While they walk, Fran notes that Alana is way less of a diva than he expected. Her noble mask is slipping, and he is almost disappointed he hasn't had to crush any unreasonable demands yet. Out of nowhere, a high-energy blonde guy spots them and calls out to Fran. He seems hyped to see his old friend and immediately asks if he's ready to join their family. Fran tries to play it cool and pivots the conversation toward finding a good place to eat. He can't help but roast his friend for acting nothing like a proper nobleman in public. The guy finally notices Alana and has an absolute breakdown over her beauty. He starts listing off her traits like she's a rare loot drop while Alana just stands there confused. Fran casually drops the wife bomb and his buddy completely loses it. The dude is struggling to process how his friend returned from the academy with a literal duchess as a spouse. The blonde guy starts shouting prayers to the heavens for such a miracle. While he geeks out over her beauty, Alana just stands there wondering what she actually got herself into. It turns out this high-energy dude is Carlet Doltonel, the next head of the family they are traveling to meet. He leads the way, still hyped from the surprise introduction. A full 6 hours pass by, and the travel time is clearly taking a toll. Fran is still trying to convince a skeptical Alana that their loud host is actually a decent person. They finally pull up to the estate, but the 6-hour yap session has left Alana looking like a ghost. Carlet does not waste a second before charging inside to find his father and share the big news. Alana realizes Fran spilled all the tea about her annulment and banishment during the trip. She is horrified that the local nobles now know every detail of her public disgrace. Count Doltonel bursts out of the house in a total rage after hearing the story. He is already losing his mind over how the royalty treated Alana, and his temper is making her very nervous. The Count takes one look at Alana and is immediately impressed by her jade hair and green eyes. He then shifts his focus to roasting Fran for his lack of manners, but our boy doesn't let it get to him. The Count lets out a massive rant about how much he hates the prince for the annulment and the banishment. While Alana struggles to keep up with the screaming, Fran realizes he is going to have to be a translator for this man's rage. He gives Alana a surprisingly warm welcome to House Doltonel, telling her that her colors are a sign of good luck here. In the same breath, he labels Fran a walking bad omen because his red hair reminds everyone of fire. Fran breaks down the local superstitions, noting that green hair is basically a blessing while red is treated like a curse. Seeing them together probably left the old man feeling conflicted, since they are essentially a mix of the best and worst signs possible. The Count finally commands them to enter the estate, and while Fran is ready to move, Alana approaches the door like she is walking into a boss arena. After the Count shouts another confusing welcome, Fran translates the aggressive greeting into a sweet invitation to treat the house as her own. Our boy handles the translation while noting that the vibe in this house is incredibly intense. A wild mother appeared. Lady Karenna bursts through the doors with enough energy to power a city, singing her greetings like she is center stage at the opera. Then there is Erlet, the younger brother, who is just as loud as the rest of them. Alana is physically vibrating from the social overload while the kid basically sings about how they are always told they are too much. After securing a place to stay for the night, the conversation turns to the future. Fran drops the bombshell that he wants to borrow some land to kickstart a new business. The Count is surprisingly down for the idea and immediately asks for samples. Fran starts digging through his bag, knowing that Carlet is the only one in this family with a shred of normalcy. He pulls out his first invention and the room goes dead silent. Nobody has ever seen a ballpoint pen before, and they are staring at it like it is alien technology. The Count tries it out and is instantly hooked because of how smooth the ink flow is. Fran explains the ballpoint mechanism but admits it is too hard to mass produce, so he is planning to market it as a luxury item for the rich. Turns out, he originally stayed up all night making this pen because the prince wanted something easier for his new commoner girl, Rafana, to use. Fran was dying to tell the prince he did not care about her struggles, but he had to play the part of the loyal subject. Fran presents a custom hair tie he made for another noble. The ladies are already losing it over how cute the design is. This prototype was actually a gift for Rafana from one of his friends, Starlet. She apparently loved it because the style was simple and sweet. The group is convinced these would be a hit in the city, but Fran is not doing charity work. He is already charging 2 copper coins for his prototype like a true businessman. Next he reveals his latest creation called Soap, and the mere mention of it has Alana looking completely stunned. He explains that another friend named Nix requested this for Rafana, so he ended up making a huge batch. He figures it is something any girl would appreciate having. Fran offers some to Alana, and her flustered reaction has him feeling pretty proud of himself. He really thinks he is pulling off the husband role perfectly right now. Despite the progress, he knows they still have a long road ahead of them. He realizes she was so caught up with the prince that she probably forgot all about their past together. Yufren stops for a deep moment, reflecting on the struggle of winning someone over. He reveals that his whole invention spree started because his friends needed gift ideas for their crushes. Then he pulls out an actual hairdryer, claiming it is the ultimate tool for the ladies. Carlet and his mom are staring at the device like it is from another dimension. Our boy casually clicks the power button and asks the Count for a dragon stone to power the thing. The Countess is already calling him a genius before he even turns it on. Even the Count has to stop hating for a second and admit that every single one of Fran's inventions is actually fire. He flips the switch and the hairdryer blasts a strong gust of air that nearly takes their heads off. The family is losing their minds, screaming about how this magic even works. Changing the subject, Fran shuts down any complaints by reminding them they are technically foreigners. He offers them an abandoned ranch near the border as a temporary base of operations. The Count is down to let them stay at the house for now, provided Fran keeps pumping out those high-demand hair ties. He promises to furnish the ranch so they can move in as soon as possible, leaving Fran to wonder about the legal paperwork. Citizenship is going to be a huge headache because of all the red tape and back-and-forth reports. The Count warns them that while the capital moves fast, Ilana's specific situation complicates everything. Count Dultanal tells them not to rush the decision, while Fran is already mentally checking out for the night. The legalities of their marriage become a concern if her criminal record ever gets wiped clean. Staying at the mansion is the play for now, and Fran is happy to finally escape the political talk. Alana suggests they use nicknames to keep the fake marriage believable, marking a major jump in their relationship status. Fran is internally panicking over the sudden intimacy but manages to keep his cool while offering up his own nickname. The atmosphere shifts as Fran asks the tough question about why she actually chose to follow him. Alana drops a major reveal by admitting she would rather stay by his side than return to her old life. She points a finger, completely stressed about her public humiliation. It is hard to imagine how she can show her face again after everything that happened. The conversation shifts to Fran's hairdryer, and she is shocked he actually built it. Our boy just shrugs it off, explaining the guys who took credit for his inventions could never actually replicate them. While she gets lost in her thoughts, Fran mutters about being a side character in this mess. He watches her realize just how much of an impact his work really has. Seeing the weight of her exile finally hitting her, he decides she needs some serious rest. He figures she is just mentally drained from being banished. Fran uses her nickname and tells her to hit the hay, but not before recruiting her help for tomorrow. She lights up with a bright smile and promises to give it her all before they say their goodnights. The door slams shut, leaving our boy alone in the hall to process the moment. Leaning against the wall with a blush, he repeats her nickname to himself while getting used to the sudden intimacy. He slides down to the floor and sits right in front of the door with a small smile. With a newfound sense of purpose, he resolves to do his best for whatever comes next. Years ago, Fran remembers his forced debut into high society. He watched as a young Alana stood alongside the crown prince, instantly catching his attention as the most beautiful girl in the room. He admits she stole his heart instantly, though he knew she was way out of his reach. Accepting defeat with a polite smile, he watched her from afar for years, unaware of the unexpected twist his life was about to take. Back in the present, Count Dultanal evaluates the hair ties at 10 copper coins. Alana is shocked by the low price, but Fran casually agrees that it makes perfect sense. She questions his weird new word scrunchies for the hair ties. Fran awkwardly explains he just wanted to give his invention a catchy name, and she happily agrees that it works. She then challenges him to name their soap next. Since the basic batch is just plain white, they brainstorm adding different colors so customers can easily tell the variations apart. Fran gets genuinely invested and agrees to whip up a prototype. He admits he struggles to invent from scratch, calling himself a creator who relies on her inspiration. She gives him a soft smile and tells him she is counting on him. Fran just stands there taking a deep breath, blown away by how expertly she motivates him. After finishing a huge batch of scrunchies, Alana wipes her forehead with a heavy sigh. She casually mentions that a sewing machine would make the job way easier. Fran leans in and asks what that is, so she tries her best to explain the concept. He thinks it over for a second and asks if a palm-sized version would work, leaving her deeply confused. 3 days later, our boy actually delivers. He casually holds out a tiny handheld sewing device, looking perfectly unfazed while she stares at it in stunned silence. He hands the invention over for a test run, praising her for working so hard without a single complaint. Alana humbly replies that manual labor is the least she can do to repay their hosts. Watching her work, he realizes that quiet needlework does not fit the vibe of an arrogant noblewoman at all. Before he can dwell on it, Carlet suddenly calls out to them from the hallway. Bursting into the room, their energetic buddy announces that the new ranch is finally furnished and ready for them. With a huge grin, he eagerly adds that they naturally only put one bed in the entire house. Both of their faces instantly flush bright red. Fran just grits his teeth, realizing he should have seen this classic setup coming from a mile away. Fran awkwardly tries to clear the air, promising Alana that he will not lay a hand on her. She blushes bright red and stammers out a response. Meanwhile, Carlet just stands in the background laughing at their dynamic. To fix the bed situation, our boy offers to just build a second one himself. She agrees to the plan, wondering to herself when the day will come that they actually share one. The next day, they arrive at the property and stare in awe at the gorgeous landscape. Carlet quickly bursts their bubble, pointing out they are looking the wrong way. He directs their attention to a busted-up little shack instead. Leaving them to settle in, their buddy announces he will spend the night in town so they can have some alone time. He gives Fran a knowing pat on the shoulder, leaving our boy narrowing his eyes at the implication. Stepping inside the dark cabin, Fran holds up a lantern to inspect their new home. He deadpans that the place has definitely seen better days as he takes in the dirty floors and dusty furniture. Deciding to put off the deep clean until morning, he suggests they grab a bite to eat first. Alana looks over at him and asks if he knows how to cook. He casually replies that he can handle the basics. She quietly wishes they had some ingredients to cook with, only for her stomach to loudly rumble in the quiet room. Fran politely ignores the sound and inspects the old-fashioned stove instead, admitting he has zero clue how to use it. As he starts explaining how to load the old stove with firewood, she quickly interrupts with a better idea. She points out that he could probably just use a dragon stone to magically light the fire instead. Our boy considers the idea and confirms that generating heat is definitely doable. Hearing this, Alana gets excited and immediately asks if he can make a refrigerator next. She explains that having a magic box to keep food fresh would be incredibly useful. Fran agrees, already visualizing how practical an icebox would be for the hot summer months. He notes that powering something like that would take at least a medium-sized dragon stone. Curious, Alana nervously asks exactly how expensive one of those would be. When he casually prices it at 30 silver coins, her face instantly drops in shock. Unfazed, Fran figures they can barely afford one and decides to just ask Carlet for the favor. He assures her that their upcoming soap money will easily cover the upfront cost. With a confident smirk, he points out that selling these new appliances to wealthy nobles will bring in huge profits anyway. He adds that they can even use the extra cash to renovate their busted cabin. Pumping her fists in agreement, she eagerly volunteers to help him prepare their dinner first. She gets right to work peeling veggies for the soup. He points out they have to boil them extra long to bring out the natural sweetness since their pantry is bare. Looking around the kitchen, he complains that they desperately need to hit the store for ingredients and actual utensils. Surprised by his skills, she notes that it is weird for a high-ranking noble to know his way around a kitchen. He smirks and flips the accusation right back at her, adding that he isn't even his family's heir anyway. He shrugs off his status, admitting his younger brothers are far more talented while he just isn't suited for the job. Hearing him sell himself short, she quietly mutters that he still didn't have to ruin his life just to get involved with her. He turns to her with a serious look, asking how much longer she is going to keep repeating that excuse. Smiling softly, he admits that leaving the capital actually made him feel refreshed. He notes that he finally gets to live on his own terms instead of constantly being ordered around by the royal family. She brings up how the crown prince and his crew took all the credit for his brilliant inventions. He shrugs it off, arguing that since they provided the original concepts, they technically count as the creators. Not buying that logic for a second, she immediately blows up and yells that they clearly stole his achievements. Trembling with rage, she loses her cool over the blatant injustice of it all. She growls that the royal clique are nothing but pretty faces who casually commit fraud without a second thought. Trying to change the subject, he brings up a guy named Dardis and asks if she was close with him. Realizing she is way too busy fuming to hear a single word he says, he awkwardly trails off. Alana casually points out that he seemed like the kind of guy who had a ton of friends. Fran immediately shuts that down, arguing that genuine friendship is impossible among nobles. Recalling his academy days, he pictures his old classmate Dardis desperately trying to argue that they were at least close acquaintances. He remembers casually breaking the news to Dardis and leaving him utterly speechless. Back in the present, Fran admits he was too distracted by Alana being up in his face to fully process her question. He quietly wonders if she actually thought he and his classmates were tight. Thinking back on his time at the academy, Fran admits he never considered himself close with the crown prince either. Despite knowing each other for years, he always felt like nothing more than a glorified errand boy. He shrugs it off, certain that the arrogant royal felt the exact same way. He reasons that Alana should already know he was never actually friends with her former clique. He assumes his relationship with Dardis was strictly business too, though he hesitates for a second. Still confused, he wonders why the guy looked so genuinely hurt when he casually dismissed their bond. Moving on from his own social life, he notes that the old Alana never really had many friends around the academy either. He quickly corrects himself, guessing that her reincarnated self probably had plenty of connections in her past life. He remembers her mentioning how she was abused and struggled a lot before her reincarnation. Looking at how strong-willed and brilliant she is now, he finds that hard to believe. He smiles, knowing a girl with her natural charm would effortlessly win people over no matter where she goes. Fran admits he never really cared about forming deep connections with anyone. Thinking it over, he finally understands why Alana found his cold attitude so strange. He sighs, realizing he has no idea how to handle a random guy suddenly dumping his emotional baggage onto him. Fran admits that dealing with high-class idiots was easy, but he has zero experience talking to girls. He seriously regrets not asking the prince for some dating advice back in the day. The girl gets flustered and decides to put her feelings in a letter instead of saying them out loud. She gives a quick fist pump to stay motivated. Fran is left standing there with a brain full of question marks. He has no clue what she could possibly have left to write about. A local farmer checks if the lady is really okay with taking in all these people. She confidently claims the harvest can support everyone for at least a week. Suddenly, she realizes that feeding over 30 people might actually be impossible. She decides to keep her mouth shut and just roll with the chaos. The farmer suggests moving everyone to the dorms instead of relying on the fields. Fran notes that building farms at a Magic Stone school is definitely going to raise some eyebrows. Fran asks Dardis what his next move is, but all he gets in response is a miserable groan. He makes it clear that the guy is absolutely not crashing at his place. A mysterious figure drops in and basically kidnaps the guy into a headlock. She suggests he just borrow some money from Euphron for a horse and even promises a sweet discount. The surprise attack leaves our boy struggling to breathe. Alana stands back, clearly rattled by the chaotic energy. Regulus makes her grand return with a pose so dramatic it could win awards. The rest of the gang is happy to see her, but Fran just wants to know why she has to be so extra. She has been away since the group split at the castle. After taking home some of Fran's gifted cooling tech, she has returned in a suspiciously good mood. She stopped by the mansion to talk business before spotting their new setup. Alana gets curious when she mentions that they are also starting something. Regulus admits she has hit a bit of a snag. She hints that her current problem might be too big for her to handle alone, which immediately puts the duo on edge. She formally asks for their help with a consultation. The atmosphere turns heavy as they realize whatever she is planning is bound to be a headache. Regulus is totally loving the energy and thanks Alana for being so quick on the uptake. Alana just wants to move the conversation inside the shop before things get even more chaotic. Fran is low-key dreading this new social circle and tries to shoo Dardis away for now. He promises a proper introduction later while clearly wishing he could just vanish. Our boy just shakes his head at the absurdity of the situation. He gets told that making nice with a merchant is mandatory if he actually plans to survive in this country. The shop interior is actually looking fire with all the furniture finally set up. They decide to play it smart and focus on their bakery first instead of rushing a grand opening they cannot handle. The local farmer is busy face planting into some food while Regulus brags about having her menu and staff all lined up. Fran just stares at her wondering how much bigger this plan is going to get. The group realizes they are basically stuck in this scheme together now. Regulus reveals she already secured permission from Lord Dultanul to keep the momentum going. Regulus strikes a pose with a blissful glow-up. She looks like she just won the lottery and claims her dream has finally come true. Alana is losing her mind because Fran is way too chill about people ripping off his inventions. She demands he show some backbone while he just wonders why she is waving a knife around. She is adamant that there need to be patents and strict rules to protect his genius. Fran tries to tell her she is overreacting, but she is not hearing any of it. Our boy just stops and stares. That intense fire in her eyes is exactly what caught his attention in the first place. He remembers how her gaze used to be fixed on the prince with a passion that felt like it could change the future. Even after everything, that spark has not faded one bit. Alana snaps him back to reality with a finger to the forehead. She tells him straight up that if anyone wants his tech, they better be ready to pay a king's ransom. She starts dropping crazy price tags like 50 gold coins for soap and a monthly cut of the profits. Fran thinks it is a total scam, but she insists this is just standard business. According to her, those rich nobles can easily afford the premium. She flexes her past as a business strategist to prove she knows exactly what she is talking about. Alana is fully locked in on the business side of things. She explains that protecting his products is a duty and the passive income will be huge. Fran is sold on the idea. Our boy wonders if anyone would actually pay that much. Alana has zero doubts, already pricing out refrigerator blueprints at 80 gold coins. She is spinning with joy as she dreams of their future mansion. Later that night, the soup is finally ready. Fran suggests they eat and then offers to take the floor so she can have the bed. That simple gesture has her face turning bright red. She can barely get the words out through her embarrassment. She manages a quiet thank you as she looks away. Fran repeats his plan to sleep on the ground. He is actually a bit surprised at how quickly she accepted the offer. The next morning, the reality of sleeping on a hard floor hits him. He wakes up groaning and clutching his sore back while the birds chirp outside. He decides they should eat before meeting up with Carlot for a shopping trip. Alana wakes up looking a bit dazed and heads off to wash her face. Fran just stands there with his cooking ladle, feeling blessed that he got to see her morning face. They arrive at the town of Exiled. Fran suggests splitting up to grab some preserved food, though his blunt request gets him some immediate sass from his companions. The market trip turns into an accidental date. Locals keep calling them a cute newlywed couple, and Alana is leaning into the role with a bright blush. A local kid named Wise stops them in the street. He is a livestock dealer who heard rumors about the famous scrunchies they have been selling. Waz starts laying on the charm, claiming he wants to buy a gift for his mom's birthday. The two of them are basically melting at how wholesome this kid seems. That wholesome vibe was just a clever lead-in for a sales pitch. He immediately starts pushing his chickens, and Fran realizes this kid is a persistent hustler. Fran starts talking shop and asks about the price for an adult chicken. The kid ups the ante by offering cows and sheep, which actually sounds like a solid move for their production. They agree to trade a scrunchie for a chick to get the ball rolling. Waz gives them a heads up about a big-time merchant named Regulus that they need to stay friendly with. Waz mentions that the local big shot Mr. Clo has a serious problem with the flashy hair color our boy is rocking. Fran is more surprised that they are already getting recognized in town, wondering if their reputation is preceding them. A suggestion to dye her hair to avoid drama is met with a soft refusal. Alana explains that her hair is a precious legacy from her mother, reminding her of the difficult recovery she went through. Turning the attention to his companion, Fran asks if her hair color counts as an auspicious sign that will win over the locals. Waz is all for it, claiming her soft colors are going to make her a total star in this country. Halano is left speechless, her face heating up as she tries to process the sudden focus on her while Fran catches her looking overwhelmed. She gathers her courage and admits that she actually loves the warm tones of Fran hair and eyes. The compliment sends the mood into a tailspin, leaving Fran to awkwardly turn away with a quiet thanks to hide his blushing face. Waz waves them off with a big grin, thrilled to have made a solid deal. Fran signals that they will be back around soon as they continue their stroll through the city. Halana wonders if the locals are just naturally savvy, but Fran explains it is more like a national survival trait. They both know that once the idiot Prince Alfaldo takes the throne, their home country is probably going to crash and burn. Waz finishes up his shopping and waves a cheerful goodbye. Fran brushes off the local oddities, telling Alana not to worry about the vibe in this country. The kid drops a hint about meeting the local boss, Mr. Clo, if they plan on staying long. Fran notes they were just about to head back, but the suggestion hangs in the air. Alana offers to take over the meeting to save him the trouble. Our MC stops her right there, deciding it is time to step up and handle the business himself. He is not about to let his wife do all the heavy lifting while he sits back. As the head of the house, he is determined to work hard for both their sakes. The squad arrives at a massive mansion that serves as the local headquarters. Waz explains that the Doltonal family hired a man named Clo to manage everything in this town. Turns out this manager is technically a noble with the rank of baron. Even though he outranks them, Waz promises the guy is a total geek for anything related to craftsmanship. They head over to a workshop where Wise screams for the boss to come out. A sharp glare from the shadows suggests that someone definitely heard him. A massive bald unit steps out to greet them with an intimidating presence. Waz introduces his relative Fran and his wife Alana while they try their best to keep it cool. The big guy barely acknowledges our boy and goes straight for the compliments on Alana. He thinks her beauty is completely wasted on a red-headed bastard like Fran. Waz tries to defend Fran's honor by calling him a genius, but Alana is more annoyed by the backhanded comments. Our boy just silently agrees that she is way out of his league. The boss immediately hates on the hairdryer, calling the design way too convoluted. Our MC is genuinely confused since he just carved a basic effect into a rock, leaving the whole shop crew speechless. Just as things get awkward, a flamboyant merchant named Regulus steps into the frame with peak main character energy. She introduces herself with a smile and enjoys the surprise. Regulus looms over our boy, mentioning how she has been itching to meet the genius behind the new business. The pressure is enough to make Fran shiver in the corner. Before Regulus can get too close, Ilana steps in to set the record straight. She places a hand on Fran and makes it clear that she is the one who handles all the selling rights. Regulus is down for a professional chat and immediately starts hyping up a potential revolution. Ilana is not backing down though, promising that Fran has plenty more inventions coming in the future. The merchant gets straight to business and pulls out the blueprints for the hair dryer. She admits their best craftsmen are stumped by the complex design of the dragon stone core. She offers 50 silver coins for a personal lesson on how to carve the effect. Our boy is shocked by the big number, but he is not the one making the decisions. Alana just hits her with a condescending laugh and calls the offer insulting. She refuses to sign anything unless they get a cut of the long-term profits once the tools hit the market. Regulus stays on the charm offensive by hyping up Alana as the perfect wife. Our boy barely knows how to respond while the merchant fills the room with some suspicious laughter. The negotiation gets intense as they haggle over the royalty percentages. Regulus tries to push for a tiny 1% cut, but they eventually settle on doubling that amount for the long-term profit. The local craftsmen are clearly feeling the pressure of the new trade deal. Alana makes it clear that the merchant is actually being reasonable and that the business side of things is handled. Fran watches the two women hit it off and realizes he might have made a serious mistake. He is seeing the birth of a dangerous alliance between two master manipulators. Back at the ranch after dark, Alana is already taking over the domestic routine and heads off to prep the bath while promising that dinner will be ready soon. The reality of the fake marriage is finally starting to sink in for our MC. The world sees them as a cute couple, and trying to maintain the act is proving to be more than he bargained for. Dinner is served and the spread looks like something from a high-end restaurant. Our boy is caught off guard by the quality of the meal since they are supposed to be living a simple ranch life. Our boy takes a bite of the crunchy bird and is absolutely blown away. He doesn't recognize any of these dishes, but even the sweet corn soup is hitting different. Fran thinks the meal is top tier, and Alana is vibing because they finally have some soy sauce. He is a bit surprised she is this hyped over a condiment, but he is not complaining. The dinner talk shifts to tomorrow's business plan. Alana wants to handle the scrunchies while Fran builds a range and a refrigerator from scratch. She starts getting specific with the specs, asking for multiple burners and full heat control. Fran admits it is not impossible, but he is definitely feeling the pressure of her high expectations. Alana's requests keep piling up as she begs for extra shelves and a freezer. Seeing her get this excited is so cute that Fran cannot even think about saying no. They start geeking out over the unthinkable idea of freezing food to make it last longer. Fran almost slips up and mentions a microwave, but he pivots before things get weird. Things get a little serious when Fran struggles to explain where he gets his ideas. Alana just gives him a warm look and says she does not want to put him on the spot, so he can tell her whenever he is ready. Fran takes a look at their haul and realizes most of the dragon stones are on the smaller side. He figures he can still make it work if he carves the effects finely enough to split the functions. Deciding to pull an all-nighter, he settles in to get the effects finished by sunrise. He starts the delicate etching work, knowing the heavy metal box remodeling will have to wait until tomorrow. The birds start chirping and the sun is officially up. Fran gives a massive stretch while a stunned Alana realizes he has been at it all night long. Alana is completely shocked that he actually skipped sleep to finish the job. Our boy just lets out a huge yawn and admits he totally lost track of time while working. She is not having it and grabs him to deliver a stern lecture about taking care of his health. Fran is caught off guard, genuinely worried that he managed to make her angry for real. This reminds him of his miserable old life where he was forced to pull all-nighters for the prince and his toxic friends. They used to call him a slow worker and told him his health mattered less than a girl's smile. He realizes that even though he was treated like a tool before, he would gladly lose sleep just to keep Lana happy. Some smiles are just worth the extra effort. Alana is not playing around and tosses a towel straight at Fran's face. She tells him to hit the showers immediately while she takes over the kitchen to whip up some breakfast. Our boy just takes it with a smile, looking refreshed despite the lack of sleep. He gives her a soft nod and agrees to follow orders. After a quick cleanup, he finds a gourmet spread waiting for him that smells incredible. He admits that everything she makes looks top tier, even if he does not recognize half of it. Staring at a spoonful of yellow fluff, he asks what he is actually looking at. Alana is stunned that he does not recognize a simple dish, especially since she just put it together with some leftovers. She tries to explain the concept of scrambled eggs, but Fran looks like she is speaking a foreign language. The idea of mixing milk and eggs is apparently a forbidden technique in this world. The culture shock hits hard when Fran claims that bread comes from trees. Alana is left speechless, realizing their basic knowledge of food is worlds apart. He breaks down the process of peeling and toasting something called breadfruit like it is the most normal thing ever. Now he is the one questioning if every slice of bread he has ever eaten was just a lie from a tree. Lana drops the bombshell that even store-bought bread is just fruit in this world. Fran looks like his reality just crumbled. She goes on a rant about being tricked by the naming of the food. It explains why everything tasted so strange to her. Snapping back to reality, she frantically tells him to forget the whole outburst. Fran just nods and decides it is time to eat. He takes a bite and is stunned by the creamy, buttery taste filling his mouth. Lana beams with pride, noting that the dish is actually easy to whip up. Fran gives her a sincere compliment that sends her face into a red blush. He mentions how he is almost finished with the refrigerator and wants her to see it. This reminds him of how he used to get roasted for being slow, but now his hard work is actually appreciated. Fran leans in with a gentle smile and tells her she is truly one of a kind. Lana can only stare back as she feels the heat rising in her cheeks. She tries to hide her flustered state, but he notices her face is turning bright red. He asks if she is feeling sick, only for her to shout that she is fine. Alana is already hitting him with a new wish list. An oven and a washing machine are next on the menu. She feels a little bad for asking while he is tired, but she really wants those upgrades. To her, these modern tools are just magical versions of old-school chores. Our boy starts crunching the numbers on his magic stones. Bigger projects mean bigger stones, and those silver coins are going to disappear fast. He tries to offer a simple stone kiln to save some cash. Alana just hits him with a blank stare, admitting she has zero idea how to use the manual version. The struggle is real because these complex builds need a lot of resources. But Alana pulls out the puppy dog eyes and promises a feast if he can just make it happen. One look at her face and he is a total goner. He caves immediately and promises to have it done by sundown, admitting he is actually kind of hyped for it. Alana is ready to start her Master Chef era. Just as things settle down, a knock at the door interrupts them, probably the repair crew finally showing up. Regulus bursts through the door with maximum big sister energy, shouting a loud hello to everyone. Our boy just stands there, completely shell-shocked by the sudden invasion of his personal space. She drags in her older brother Grice, a professional dragonstone crafter who looks like he wants to disappear. The poor guy is trembling as he gives the group a very shaky greeting. Alana is totally out of the loop and asks what a dragonstone crafter even does. Turns out these pros use a specialized dragon pen to carve complex magical effects directly into precious stones. Fran leans in and warns Alana not to talk down about the craft in front of an actual expert. He admits he is just an untrained enthusiast compared to someone who does this for a living. Regulus lays out the master plan, estimating the repairs will take about a week to complete. Alana is stressed by the long wait, but Regulus just laughs and calls them both adorable children. The peace is immediately shattered when Mr. Clo shows up and starts a screaming match with the merchants. Our main duo is just standing there looking dead inside, wondering why everyone in this town is so aggressive. Fran tries to bring the focus back to work and asks Grice if he is ready to get started. The guy is sweating bullets, admitting he only came along to see the legendary blueprint Fran created. Regulus explains they are talking about the hair dryer trade. Fran is sweating as she brings up the deal for 50 silver coins and a 10% cut. Alana enters her high-class noble era, hyping Fran up as a genius. Our boy is facepalming, clearly not ready for the level of attention she is grabbing. The price tag for the blueprints is 80 gold coins plus a monthly cut. Mr. Clo is shaking at the cost while Regulus notes how bold the proposal is. Standing with confidence, Alana promises to show the room his true worth. She declares that the country's food culture is about to change at its core. Fran frantically whispers for her to stop setting the bar so high. Alana just smiles and tells him to chill, which only makes him more stressed. She tells him to just watch as she reveals the real value of his talent. Fran has reached the point where he does not care what happens anymore. It is time for the reveal as Alana flips the power switch. The refrigerator stays silent, and the group watches with high expectations. Fran explains that dragon stone cores need blood to wake up. He takes a blade to his finger and lets a single drop fall. The stone drinks it in and begins to pulse with energy. After a few moments of adaptation, the stone settles into its new role as a tool. It is finally ready to power the device. Alana is losing her mind over the blood while Fran tries to play it cool. He admits the hairdryer was way easier to build than this fridge. The room descends into pure chaos as Alana scrambles for a bandage. Regulus has to step in and play medic, telling the duo to chill out while she handles the wound. Our boy is malfunctioning because Alana is still holding onto his hand. He is too distracted by how warm she is to even feel the cut. Chloe is not here for the romance and just wants to know if the thing works. Fran finishes wrapping his finger while the tension in the room keeps climbing. Grice looks at the stone like he has seen a ghost, realizing the complexity of the magic carved inside. He admits it is a tight fit but definitely possible for someone with Fran's level of skill. The workshop is buzzing with curiosity as the crowd leans in to see what Fran has been cooking. Everyone is dying to know if this dragon stone tool actually works and what it even does. As the door swings open, a wave of freezing air hits the room. Grice looks like he just saw a miracle while Regulus reaches out to feel the impossible chill for herself. Regulus is floored by the drop in temperature. Fran casually explains he followed Alana's specs to make the top a freezer that naturally cools the rest of the box. Alana is absolutely losing it, calling him a straight-up genius for making a freezer. Our boy is trying his hardest to keep a poker face so he does not start grinning like an idiot. Alana goes into full sales mode, explaining how this thing can keep food fresh forever. She makes sure to highlight that the top shelf is a literal game changer that can freeze anything. Regulus is having a total meltdown over the efficiency. She cannot believe a simple medium-sized stone is beating out an entire underground storage room. Regulus is sold and screams that she will take the whole stock. Alana drops the heavy price tag of 80 gold plus a cut, leaving Fran to desperately try and slow things down. Even though Fran warns them this is just a prototype that might break, Regulus is unfazed. She is certain it will last at least a month. Regulus starts wiggling with excitement at the thought of selling these to the castle. The mere mention of the palace sends a shudder down the MC's spine while Alana complains about the long wait. Grice cannot process the fact that he is talking to a former nobleman. Craftsmanship this advanced is something he never expected from someone of that social status. According to our boy, he only learned these skills because the prince and his friends forced him to do their work. He always figured his talent was slightly better than an amateur, but the room clearly disagrees. An immediate recruitment offer comes from Regulus, but Alana is not having any of it. She shuts the deal down by reminding everyone that she holds the exclusive rights to everything he builds. After backing off, Regulus demands the right to get first pick on all of his future inventions. Fran can only watch from the sidelines, feeling overwhelmed by the speed of their negotiation. Moving to the next order of business, Regulus asks Fran to guide her brother through the dryer blueprints. Grice looks like he is about to have a meltdown, insisting he can only work with large dragon stones for something this complex. Grice is having a full-blown crisis because his decade of training feels worthless compared to the skills Fran has. Regulus tells him to chill while the poor guy loses it. Blueprints in hand, the craftsman starts geeking out over the wind pressure and temperature settings. Fran tries to play it cool, claiming the design is not even that deep. The challenge is slowly accepted as Fran asks for the materials to get started. Regulus is caught off guard by the specific dragon stone size he needs for the build. A supportive pat on the back comes from Alana as the weight of his talent finally starts to sink in. She wants to make sure he knows exactly how high-tier his skills actually are. Anger flares as she fumes over how the prince and his squad exploited his genius for free labor. Fran just deadpans that they are technically part of that same noble crowd. Years of unrecognized effort are finally being validated. A small smile creeps onto his face as he processes the new vibe of his life. Beaming with pride, Alana promises that she is nothing like his old toxic circle. She vows to properly pay him for his hard work instead of just using him. Our boy starts humming to himself, and Alana is definitely not feeling the mystery. She wants to know what is up with that weird reaction. She wonders if her offer is enough, but she has no idea how much her appreciation actually means. Seeing her get heated on his behalf is a first for him. Fran drops the heavy line, telling her she is the only person who matters. It leaves her completely starstruck. Flashback to the academy days when he was basically a professional wingman for the prince and his friends. He spent his time making gifts for girls they liked, low-key wishing he had someone of his own. Those days are officially over. From now on, every single thing he creates will be exclusively for her. She was the first one to actually call his work talent, and that recognition is hitting different. The brightest smile he has ever seen finally makes an appearance. He claims he has already been paid, which has her feeling super confused since she has not dropped a single coin. He keeps the secret to himself while she demands answers. This practice dragon pen is a game changer for blueprints. Fran is already deep in his workspace, ready to cook. While Regulus cheers for her brother, Alana is already pivoting to the next project. She asks Mr. Clo if he can build a stone kiln. Alana is ready to introduce the world to proper wheat bread. Regulus is confused, since that is just not how wheat works here. Cultural divide check. Fran realizes his basic knowledge does not match up with anyone in this world, which is a major red flag. Apparently, wheat is strictly for pasta and pastries in this region. This major inconsistency in world building is starting to weird Fran out. Blueprints for a dryer are up for grabs. Fran wants to use the training fees, but Alana is not letting him give up his cut that easily. Workload management is in full effect. Since Grice is busy mastering the fridge, someone else will have to handle the dryer. Regulus has that business glint in her eye again, pitching a silver coin price point. She is already plotting a collab with Madame Doltonol, leaving the MC completely blindsided. The workshop is pure chaos as the locals freak out over the new tech. Our boy tries to ignore the hype and just checks in on Grice's training progress. Scene change to their new temporary housing. The place is nice but way too small, and our MC is already planning to rearrange the furniture to fix the awkward bed situation. Mr. Clo is acting weirdly shy, blushing while he begs for a personal refrigerator. Seeing a massive dude do the finger fidgeting thing is almost too much for the group to handle. There is no real reason to build a second one yet, but Clo is not taking no for an answer. He is ready to buy the dragon stone himself just to get his hands on the prototype. The secret motivation comes out, and it is all about the snacks. The man just wants his pudding perfectly chilled after a long day of work, even asking for a custom-sized box to fit his treats. The deal is sealed when Clo places a dragon stone on the table. He is dropping 10 gold coins without a second thought, which is a massive payday that even catches Regulus off guard. Alana is not playing around with the manufacturing fees. She shuts down Clo's complaints, reminding him that personal luxury comes with a professional price tag. Our boy decides to put that new income to work immediately. He offers Clo a stack of gold coins to handle the renovations for the ranch and the barn. Clo finally caves, even if he is feeling the hit to his wallet. Regulus pops in out of nowhere to back up the girls, making sure he knows he is actually getting a heavy discount. Alana even adds a stone kiln to the order just to keep him busy. Regulus notices the vibe and gives our MC a much-needed reality check. She reminds him that his talent is one of a kind, and no other craftsman can touch his work. Alana is fully leaning into her role as the visionary. She is confident that whatever she dreams up, her resident genius can build it without breaking a sweat. The mission is officially a go. Alana is going to sell his inventions for top dollar and make sure the whole world puts some respect on his name. Regulus can't help but laugh at their dynamic, calling them a lovely couple. While Alana plans world domination for his gear, our boy is just dreading all the extra work. Standing alone by the window, the weight of his success finally starts to sink in. Fran can't wrap his head around his basic inventions being worth a fortune, but Alana is right there to check on him. Fran finds Alana posted up on the floor with some jars, looking completely out of place for a lady of her status. She brushes it off, explaining that she is in the middle of a DIY yeast experiment. She is convinced this will result in the ultimate fluffy bread, all thanks to some questionable research from the Duke's private library. Fran just watches, wondering how many more weird books she is going to dig up. The mood gets heavy when Alana starts to gear up for a big confession, but Fran accidentally shuts it down. He remembers the horse needs a meal and heads out, leaving the dramatic reveal on hold. Back in the stable, Lucy gets her feed while Fran takes a breather in the dark. Outside, a mysterious carriage is waiting, with the passenger noting that our boy took a little longer than expected. Fran pulls the carriage door open to find Dardis waiting in the shadows. It is an awkward reunion, and the look in his old friend's eyes says this isn't just a social call. Dardis gives him props for his clean escape from the capital, but Fran is on a tight clock before Alana starts asking questions. The news is serious. Starlet has been dipping into the national funds for his own pocket. Dardis drops the bombshell that the prince literally dipped into the national treasury just to buy a dress for Rafana. Fran can only facepalm at the stupidity, especially since Dardis is the one about to take the fall for it. Our boy is then asked if he can just pay off the missing funds to save his friend's neck. Fran isn't having it and shuts down the payout plan immediately. When he asks why Dardis even bothered showing up, his old friend admits the prince specifically ordered his return to the capital. Fran makes it clear he has zero interest in going back to that toxic life, no matter what the prince says. Dardis literally begs for help, but our MC hits him with a cold and final rejection. This isn't just a request, it is a blatant threat from the prince. He knows Fran cares about his friends and is using the threat of execution as leverage to force him back. Fran realizes the stolen money was supposed to be for canal maintenance, meaning the prince is risking the whole kingdom for a gift. He figures the prince only bought one dress since he is too possessive to let anyone else see Rifana in multiple outfits. A single high-end dress in this world costs about 3 gold coins, which is a massive amount of cash to swipe from the public works budget. The prince is so obsessed with his new girl that he would rather commit embezzlement than look cheap in front of her. 3 gold coins is enough to cause a massive scandal if it goes missing from the books. Fran knows the prince is playing a dangerous game, especially since his ultimate goal with Rafana is fundamentally impossible. Instead of paying up, our boy decides to teach Dardis how to cook the books. He asks for something to write on so he can show him a secret technique for hiding embezzlement under canal maintenance. He starts sketching out some high-level structural engineering plans to fix the project. Dardis is stunned, realizing this one bit of info is basically a get-out-of-jail-free card. With the knowledge handed over, Fran steps out of the carriage to head home. Dardis tries to stop him, letting out a desperate shout before his only hope disappears into the night. Dardis starts begging, admitting that the Capital Group is basically sinking without their secret MVP. Fran just hits him with the coldest look imaginable, asking if he is actually serious right now. Our MC reminds him that he put up with their garbage behavior for 8 years straight. Now that he is out, it is finally their turn to deal with the mess they created. Dardis asks if Alana is somehow blackmailing him, unable to grasp why anyone would choose a discarded lady over a life of luxury. Lantern in hand, he tells Dardis to just go home and worry about his own survival. This is the end of the line for their friendship, and he is not looking back. Lana greets him with a warm welcome after his long night out. He asks about the bread, admitting he lost track of time while caring for Lucy. Lana has a surprise ready for tomorrow, and our boy is interested to see what it is. Lana notices he is practically nodding off on his feet. Even though he wants to hear her news, she insists he gets some rest after his all-nighter. They have a big day of business ahead of them tomorrow anyway. The next day in Exiled, Waz comes running over to see if the project is finished. He goes into panic mode when they offer to deliver it now, since he wants it to be a surprise for his mom. Waz asks them to wait a bit while he finishes his egg deliveries. He explains that he caters to everyone, even those with very specific tastes. Fran is impressed by the kid's hustle and dedication to his customers. Lana realizes that fried eggs aren't even a thing in this kingdom despite pudding being on the menu. She can't help herself and immediately offers to teach Wise how to make scrambled eggs. Lana's cooking tips cause a stir among the villagers, who start buying up eggs. Waz is hyped about the sales boost and offers them a free batch of eggs as a thank you. They complete the trade, swapping a scrunchie for a cute little chick as payment. Looking at Lana's smile, our boy resolves to work as hard as he can to protect this happiness. Our boy settles into his life as the husband of the banished lady. Alana thinks their new chick is the cutest thing ever as it chirps in its box. Waz laughs and tells them to take good care of it. Home renovations are still in full swing at the ranch, and the place is a total construction zone. Clanging sounds echo everywhere as the work continues through the day. With the house under construction, the duo decides to hit the fields to save some serious gold. Alana is already out there putting in work with a hoe, looking way too hype for a former noble. She almost lets it slip that she loves farming, but quickly backtracks by claiming she is just a fan of a legendary crop-growing noble. Fran is just confused by the weird flex. Fran actually knows his way around a garden, and the sparkles around him do not lie. Even Alana is caught off guard by his legit gardening experience. It is a complete farming face-off, and Fran realizes he is totally outclassed by his wife. He takes the loss like a champ, and they start planting the seeds they bought in the city. Alana proudly reveals their first crop is prunes, and she is really feeling herself. She lunges at him, insisting it is all for his own health. Before he can process the prunes, she points right at him and brings up his blood. Our boy is just standing there confused since he has been feeling perfectly fine lately. Lana is losing it, lecturing him about using his own blood like he is a human battery. She is worried he is going to pass out from anemia if he keeps this up. She is already mapping out a whole high-iron diet, talking about liver and spinach while our boy is just trying to survive. Fran points out that iron supplements are a thing, and even pros use them. Lana keeps the interrogation going, asking how he deals with all the cuts and scars. Fran is unbothered, claiming he has herbal patches and does not care about a few marks. Finally, she chills out a bit, but only to drop some deep observations. She realizes his old smiles felt fake and superficial, but the version of him she sees now feels real. Fran hits her with a smooth smirk, joking about bringing back his old persona just to mess with her. He admits he only acted that way because he thought it was what girls liked. Seeing him laugh naturally makes her realize how draining his old mask must have been. She tells him that the superficial look actually left a bad impression, which completely shocks him. Lana panics and tries to explain herself, eventually settling on calling his new personality Gap Mo. Fran is just relieved to hear he is not leaving a bad impression anymore. Fran ponders the whole Gap Mo thing. If it means a huge shift in vibes from the first meeting, then he is definitely seeing it in Lana. He thinks back to when she seemed like an unapproachable noble. It turns out that whole haughty act was just a shield for her genuine confidence. They never got to talk much back then since she was the prince's fiancée. Alfaldo would straight up glare a hole through him if they were ever alone together. A new theory hits him. Maybe she did not avoid him because of royal rules, but because she just could not stand shallow guys. Lana is suddenly a real live wire, ready to clear out the pasture for her horse. Fran just stands there stunned while she starts tearing through the farm work. Watching her laugh at her own success. Our boy is starting to wonder what kind of strange but adorable creature he actually ended up with. She is already planning her next move and asks for a fishing lesson. Fran rolls with the punches, wondering if her past coldness was just a cover for her being this intense. Fran tells her fishing is just a waiting game. Lana looks like she is already regretting this hobby. She is not about to sit around. Lana challenges him to see who gets the biggest catch and insists she can handle the rod. The first swing is a total fail. She snags her own skirt and flips the fabric right over her head. Fran is absolutely panicking. He yells at her not to move while his face turns red, but she is just wondering why everything went dark. Our boy is officially struggling. His heart is racing after the accidental reveal, and he is trying his best to process the chaos. They blame the whole thing on a giant butterfly to move past the awkwardness. Lana is ready for round 2 and casts her line again. She gets a hit almost instantly. Fran is completely floored by how fast she hooked a potential catch. Lana is hyped after landing a massive catch. Fran tries to keep her calm while the huge carp flops around on the grass. She is already begging for round 2, but our boy shuts it down before the kitchen starts smelling like a dock. One fish is plenty for their dinner anyway. Fran gets to work prepping the catch while Lana watches in awe. He explains that back home, any man worth his salt knows how to handle a blade in the kitchen. He gives her a quick geography lesson on Alcegios, a land defined by its massive lake and endless water. Since fish is the national staple, everyone knows how to prep it. In reality, our MC only got this good because the prince used him as a personal servant for years. Now that he is gone, all that grunt work is officially the problem of Dardis. Dardis is stuck in the same toxic cycle of being a friend to the crown prince. Fran hopes his old classmate can survive the chaos using the strategies he left behind. Lana smiles as the meal brings back memories of the fancy fish dinners at her old mansion. Looking back on her past life feels like a lifetime ago. While discussing her past life, a strange noise from the trees cuts their conversation short. Our MC is not mentally prepared for whatever is about to pop out of the brush. A soft meow echoes through the air as a giant paw crushes the grass nearby. Lana turns toward the sound, drawn in by the mysterious vibe coming from the forest. They both freeze as they realize a large predator is looming right over their shoulders. It lets out a tiny meow that does not fit its intimidating size. Rather than a fight, they are treated to a show of submission as the beast begs for a snack. Fran worries they might become the main course if they do not share their dinner. Giving in to the demands, Lana tosses a prize to her new furry stalker. The beast lunges into the air with a roar to snag its treat right out of the sky. Energized by the encounter, she decides to fish for two and officially names her new partner Calico. Fran decides it is best not to question the logic of adopting a giant cat. The lake does not stand a chance against a girl and a tiger on a mission for more food. In no time at all, they return with a tub overflowing with fresh catches, and our boy is stunned by their efficiency. Lana holds up a massive tuna and wonders how a saltwater fish ended up in a lake. Our boy is just as confused because this catch completely breaks the laws of biology. They decide to call it a day before they break the world any further. Fran officially crowns her the goat of fishing while choosing to ignore the weirdness for the sake of his sanity. Calico is having the time of his life as a disposal unit for the extra catch. With the bucket overflowing, Fran figures he might as well let the big cat handle the leftovers. The bucket is packed with rare and massive species that should not be this easy to find. Our MC just sighs and prepares to prep the giant haul because at this point, logic has clearly left the building. Lana is already dreaming about salt-grilled sweetfish while Fran vows to forget this entire glitch in the Matrix once his stomach is full. He officially stops thinking and lets the hunger take over. The night kicks off with a chill outdoor grill as Lana suggests they ditch the indoor routine for some fresh air. Looking back at the dry meat struggle from day one makes this fresh catch taste even better. Calico is already full and decides to turn on the charm with some aggressive headbutts. Things take a sharp turn when the giant cat sends Lana into a stumble. Fran moves on instinct and catches her before she can even process the fall. Both of them are a blushing mess after the sudden contact. Fran is internally screaming because he just broke the no-touch rule and his heart is doing numbers. Fran offers up the salt-grilled goods while joking about her broken fishing stats. It seems like his lessons were barely needed for a natural like her. She isn't having any of that humble talk and insists he takes the credit for the haul. The vibes are peak wholesome as she hands over his share of the dinner. The cozy atmosphere gets nuked when Calico wanders into the shadows. A roar that definitely isn't a house cat meow shakes the entire forest and puts everyone on high alert. Fran tells Lana to get back as something rustles in the bushes. A whole squad of tiny tiger cubs pops out of the foliage. It turns out Calico didn't come alone, she brought the entire family for dinner. Lana can't handle the cuteness and immediately asks to pet them. She sinks her hands into the fur and is instantly in heaven. Even the tiger seems to enjoy the attention as Lana gets lost in the softness. Cuteness overload is in full effect as Lana hugs the cubs while screaming about how adorable they are. Our MC joins in too, picking up a cub that seems surprisingly chill with being handled like a plushie. It is a full cuddle party in the middle of the forest. Calico settles down with all 7 of her cubs while Fran starts doing the math. He remembers being told that tigers usually stop at 4 and are incredibly dangerous when raising their young. This whole scene is breaking every rule of nature he ever learned. As the eldest of 6 siblings, our boy immediately sympathizes with the exhausted mother tiger. She is literally rolling over and begging for food, which is definitely not normal predator behavior. He gives her some comforting head pats while Lana watches them bond. Fran tells the tiger she can keep coming back for food until the cubs are grown. He puts all the pressure on Lana by calling her their pro-fisher, which leaves her completely baffled. The tiger looks satisfied, basically getting a lifetime subscription to free meals. The next day, Calico brings the cubs back and Lana is ready to put in work. Being called a pro-fisher lit a fire in her, and she catches enough tuna to feed the whole squad. She finishes the day by happily snacking on some sweetfish while Fran looks on in disbelief. Lana waves goodbye to the giant cat squad while Fran stays behind. He sends her home solo so he can do some solo recon on these woods. The math isn't Maything for our MC right now. A mother tiger bringing 7 cubs to a human settlement is way too risky to be a coincidence. He follows the trail to a rocky cliff and finds exactly what he was looking for. A hidden campsite and a makeshift trap confirm he is not alone out here. A sudden bleat from a sheep and a loud shout cut through the trees. Someone just walked right into his investigation. He catches a poacher ready to secure some fresh mutton for dinner. Fran casually claims the sheep belongs to him, totally capping just to see the guy's reaction. The sheep doesn't wait around for an apology and disappears into the woods. With the evidence gone, Fran turns up the heat and demands to know how the guy plans to fix this. This thief makes the mistake of reaching for something, but Fran isn't having it. He moves with insane speed, closing the distance before the guy can even finish a sentence. Fran is done playing nice. He pins the thief from behind and puts a blade to his throat, completely ending the fight before it can even start. The guy tries to pull a hidden knife from his boot, but our boy tells him to keep his hands down if he wants to stay in one piece. It is interrogation time. Fran wants to know exactly where the tiger was being taken, and the guy folds instantly, admitting their destination is Alcegio's. This confirms exactly what he suspected. These dudes are just low-life poachers looking for a quick payday. Turns out the nobility in Alcegios has a pretty messed up hobby of using rare beast furs rugs to show off their power. Since Calico was looking after a massive litter worth 2 tigers, she was the perfect target for these trophy hunters. The thief starts sobbing and begging for his life, promising to do anything if Fran just lets him walk. But our MC gives him a look that could freeze blood, asking if he would rather be skinned and spread out across the forest floor instead. After letting the guy sweat for a second, Fran finally lets up and says it is fine. The thief is a total wreck on the ground now, completely broken by the intense pressure our boy was putting on him. He decides to keep the thief's knife as a little tax for all the trouble he caused. Standing over him, Fran gives one final warning to never set foot in his territory again unless he wants an even worse ending. The guy wastes no time and peels out of there as fast as possible. Fran thinks he might have gone a little overboard with the scary act, but the House of Italel is known for being insanely agile, even if his brother Krugen is the real pro at this stuff. Our boy stands in the field as the wind starts picking up. He tells Calico she did a great job protecting her family and that it is finally fine now. This tiger is definitely on another level. Fran figures she is a dragon tiger, which means she is way too smart to be some average forest predator. Time to head back. Fran takes a quick stretch and decides to snag a bird as a souvenir before calling it a day. Bright and early the next morning, Calico is already busy destroying some meat. Lana thinks it is cute that she talks while eating, but Fran is just watching her technique. Lana tries to pull the pet card, but Fran is not having it. He compromises and says she can keep visiting until her cubs are old enough to move out. Lana is confused because her legendary luck with the fish just vanished today. Our boy is also feeling like a scrub because his own fishing game is still weak. Lana wonders if her luck was just a temporary blessing from the dragon. The tiger lets out a loud burp as Fran tells her not to worry because tomorrow will be better. Lana suddenly remembers a special snack and claps her hands in excitement. She presents a plate of steaming lumps that definitely do not look like gourmet chicken. This is actually her failed attempt at wheat bread that humans are not supposed to touch. She figures if it is safe for tigers, it might as well not go to waste. Our boy tries to bring up some basic safety rules about feeding wild animals, but the cubs are already face deep in the bowl. Total resignation as the meowing continues. Calico stares into the void with a look that says she has finally seen the truth of the universe. The tiger is radiating some high-level intensity right now. Fran is low-key worried about his safety, but he decides to just let the vibe play out. A heavy sigh hits the air as Calico reaches a spiritual peak. She decides that after this culinary experience, it is probably best if they stop dropping by for dinner. Lana is still out there serving up more of the failed bread in this bonus moment. Fran can only watch in silence, wondering how the tigers are even processing this meal. Calico reaches a spiritual peak while processing the flavor, clearly transcending the regular animal experience. Fran tries to caution Lana about the dangers of human food for wild beasts, but she is completely sold on providing a unique culinary experience. A new inspiration strikes Lana as she offers to whip up some blood sausages to really lean into that wild flavor. The invitation does not go over well, causing Calico to start slowly backing away from the chef. Lana is on a win after finally mastering her wheat bread recipe. Just as the ranch repairs wrap up, Fran takes it all in, realizing the old temporary shack is now his official workshop. The fields are looking pristine and ready for a fresh start. Fran lets Lana pick the crops since she knows best when it comes to the kitchen. This perfect loaf was the result of a month-long struggle, but she is finally ready to show off. Excitement radiates from her as she prepares to give him a taste of her ideal bread. She presents a basket of sliced bread that looks way too good to be true. Fran is stunned, wondering if he is even looking at real food. Everyone grabs a sample while Lana maintains her smug energy. Fran takes a bite, waiting to see if all that hard work actually paid off. The texture is so light and fluffy that it leaves the group questioning reality. Shocked by the quality, they cannot believe bread can even feel this good. Lana explains she made it sweet without using much sugar, even if she is likely stretching the truth. Credit goes entirely to Fran for building the custom oven that made it possible. Regulus leans in with a smirk, teasing Alana about how much she talks our boy up. Fran looks like he is losing his soul from all the attention. Helena fires back while blushing, claiming she just wants him to see how talented he really is. Regulus is officially obsessed with the bread, calling it a unique masterpiece that will fly off the shelves. She knows a business opportunity when she sees one. Even if Fran lacks confidence, his cooking is already speaking for itself. The merchant makes her move, offering 10 gold coins for the secret recipe right now. She wants to flood the whole town with these loaves. Alana looks completely caught off guard by the massive offer. Things get goofy as the ladies start planning a full-scale bakery on the spot. Overwhelmed by the intense energy, Fran decides to go hide inside the house. The others just watch the chaos unfold from the sidelines. Stepping inside the house reveals a massive space complete with its own library. Ilana is thrilled to find they have separate rooms on the second floor. It is a major upgrade from their previous living situation. The mood shifts when they realize the extra rooms were designed for children. Both of them turn bright red and start sweating from the sudden romantic tension. He tries to point it out, but the awkwardness is already off the charts. Complete system failure. They both bolt away in a panic, leaving the local farmer staring in total confusion. The accidental new lead energy is just too much for them to handle. Fran is blushing hard while Lana whispers in his ear. She finally admits she has been hiding something from him for an entire month. The romantic tension gets deleted when a worker shouts for them to get moving. Fran keeps his cool but reminds himself they are just playing house and he needs to stay grounded. Back at the table, Lana examines a citizenship application for their new home. Fran mentions that since the prince has ignored them for 3 months, it is time to move on for good. He slides the document over to her. He has a secret of his own to share. Lana brushes it off, saying she does not care about her past life anymore. She is ready to drop the real reason she is so chill with leaving everything behind. The air gets heavy as she takes a deep breath. Our boy can practically hear his own heart beating while he waits for the news. Then comes the reveal. She explains that she remembers her past life and realizes they are living inside a light novel where she is the villainess. Fran stares at her with a blank expression. He nods along even though he is totally lost. I see, but I do not get it at all. He asks her to explain everything again one step at a time. Lina describes her past life working for a toxic company where she was treated like a slave. She cannot even remember her old name after years of corporate torture. The details get even crazier when she mentions her boss told her to jump off a building. Fran tries to make sense of the modern terms. He wonders if a black company is just an aristocrat who treats commoners like garbage. Back to the present, he asks the obvious question, so you actually did it. She confirms she really ended her own life without hesitating for a second. Lana is convinced her good karma earned her a second chance. Apparently, being a model citizen who stops at yellow lights is enough to get reincarnated as a noble. I was a perfect member of society, she says. Reading stories was her only escape from the stress. She was obsessed with a specific light novel about a commoner who gets a happy ending with a prince. It turns out that story is exactly the world they are currently living in. Everything matches up. The heroine, the prince, and even Lina as the rival villainess. The script for their lives was written long before they were born, and every word of the engagement breakup was identical to the book. Fran is still trying to process the fact that his life is basically a light novel, but Lana is already moving on to the spoilers. She reveals that in the original plot, she becomes a vessel for an evil dragon and gets deleted by the heroine. Lana makes it crystal clear she is not dying for a trash prince or a girl with flowers for brains. Our boy can only offer a dry reaction to her brutal honesty. It turns out it is not a perfect reincarnation, but more like her memories are a tangled mess. She can barely tell where one life ends and the other begins. Even with the identity crisis, she is handling it with a calm logic that surprises Fran. She wonders if she still needs to play the part of a high society noble around him. Fran drops the most casual riz of all time, telling her he likes both versions of her. Lana is absolutely stunned by the sudden compliment. She immediately goes into full chibi panic mode. After a quick slam of resolve, she decides to just live however she wants in this new country. Lana is still stuck in her villainous arc, telling Fran he should live his own life instead of following a banished noblewoman. She clenches her dress, trying to distance herself for his sake. Fran shuts that down immediately. He looks her straight in the eye and tells her he knows she never bullied that sacred girl. He believes in her when no one else does. Lana finally drops the truth about their first encounter. She admits she basically treated him like a background NPC because of her light novel knowledge. The roast continues as she calls him a walking plot device meant to fix the author's lazy writing. Fran just stands there taking pure emotional damage while she labels him a glorified sewing machine. Even after the NPC talk, Lana admits that having him around is her ultimate support system. She is finally ready to throw hands with her own fate. Fran gives her the main character energy she needs. He promises to prove he is more than just a background element, and they both finally share a real smile. It has been a full month since Lana dropped her big confession, and their brand new home was finally finished. The farm is looking solid now with repaired fields and a new barn for the animals. Fran knew exactly what was coming as soon as the infrastructure was ready. Lana wasted no time jumping into her next wild project. She leaned in with a huge smile and begged him to build an automatic dairy processing machine. She wants everything from cheese to yogurt, and she is not taking no for an answer. When Fran mentioned they would need a massive dragon stone for power, she revealed she already put the order in. Our boy finally caved and agreed to build the machine for her. Lana was beyond hyped and immediately scheduled a trip to go pick out some cows the very next morning. Seeing Lana this happy is a huge relief after all the stress she carried before. Fran was worried about her burning out, but she is clearly thriving and looking adorable while doing it. The next day, the pair headed into town for what felt like a cozy date. That vibe was killed instantly when Waz appeared and started screaming about how well they were getting along. Lana slips into her noble persona with a refined laugh while Carlot catches them up on the latest rumors about their business collab with Regulus. Carlot is totally convinced that Fran is a genius, but he jokingly refuses to help them buy food unless Fran asks him in the most cute way possible. Against all odds, Fran actually drops a deadpan request for Big Brother to feed him, scoring a perfect 100 points from a satisfied Carlet. The praise keeps coming as Carlet starts raving about how incredible Lena's new wheat bread tastes. He is already talking about opening a specialty shop to sell her creations, making Fran realize he needs to step in before the plans get too wild. Our boy finally hits his limit and drags Lana away, telling Carlet they can talk about business later because it is time to go check out some cows. Lana worries that they were a bit too blunt with someone who is helping them buy ingredients, but Fran just keeps moving forward while Carlet waves goodbye. Fran is low-key pressed that business talk is hijacking his time with Lana, but Wise tells him to take a breath. Carlet has always been a total handful, so he might as well just embrace the chaos. Lana hits a major wall and starts questioning if she is a total fraud. She feels like a bread plagiarist for using modern recipes, wondering if she can even call these creations her own. Fran is not letting her spiral into self-doubt and tells her to just own the win. Without her, this world would still be stuck with basic food, and Lana cannot help but blush at his support. The vibe gets incredibly wholesome as they share a quiet moment. Lana admits life would be mid without her treats, while Fran drops some major riz about her smile being the only thing that matters. Lana is back in girl boss mode and immediately starts brainstorming a menu expansion. She is already planning to introduce the world to ham and tomato sandwiches straight from her past life memories. The dream is evolving into a full-blown ranch cafe vision. Lana realizes that with her secret recipes, they could cut out the middleman and make bank by running their own specialized shop. Transition to snack talk and Lana is ready to add coffee to the mix. She nearly has a total meltdown when Fran admits he does not have a favorite treat, demanding to know if he actually hates sweets. Fran drops a major lore bomb, admitting he only lied about hating sweets so his brothers could eat them all. Lana is absolutely not having it and decides he has just never tasted a real snack. She is already planning to use her past life knowledge to blow his mind with some top-tier treats. Scene jump to the ranch where Waz is already on that grind, welcoming them with maximum energy. They are here for the cows, but the vibes are already shifting toward a major shopping trip. Waz starts pitching goats as a budget-friendly milk option, proving he is a total pro at this sales game. He even drops some knowledge about feed quality to make sure the milk does not end up tasting mid. Lana is in full girl boss mode and decides to buy both the goats and a cow right on the spot. Fran is just standing there watching their farm budget disappear in real time. The mood gets heavy when Wise introduces his sheepdog Cebus and reveals her puppies are about to be homeless. If they do not find homes soon, these poor things are getting abandoned in the mountains. Lana's heart completely melts because she knows exactly what it feels like to be tossed aside. She decides they are adopting a dog immediately, and Fran is forced to agree with the logic. Lana is beaming, giving the green light for the dog adoption. Wise is losing his mind with excitement, leading them straight to the dog houses. Meanwhile, our boy Fran is just standing there realizing he just signed up for a major DI project. Out of nowhere, a sheep starts following Fran around. This thing is locked in, staring him down like he owes it money. Look at those eyes, the sheep is basically begging to be adopted too. Fran is out here praying for his sanity while Lana is already off picking her favorite puppy. Lana finds the ultimate choice, a tiny corgi just chilling on a blanket. Fran is still a bit dazed, but he is not about to say no to that face. This puppy is the definition of cute with its short tail and tiny nose. Even the stoic Fran is starting to feel the vibes, wondering how something can be this adorable. While Lana is busy bonding with her new pet, the sheep is still camping out right next to Fran. It is not taking no for an answer. Lana is starting to suspect Fran did something to offend the sheep in a past life. He has zero clues why this animal is so obsessed with him, but it is definitely not leaving without a fight. A sudden realization hits Waz. He insists the sheep has chosen them, pitching its care as no different from any other farm animal. Ilana is not buying the sales pitch for a second. Sensing her suspicion, Waz doubles down by offering a discount and throwing in a spinning wheel just to seal the deal. Caught red-handed, the merchant laughs it off and finally comes clean. He has heard the rumors about their delicious bread and is clearly looking for a trade. He asks for a baking lesson, but the answer is a hard no. Their contract with Regulus keeps her recipe strictly private for now. Waz brings up his parents, making the rejection feel 10 times worse. Ilana is left feeling like the bad guy as the mood takes a nosedive. Guilt gets the better of her, so she offers him a few loaves instead. His mood flips completely as they plan for the big livestock delivery tomorrow. Fran is still stuck with a sheep that refuses to leave his side. Ilana decides they might as well just make the purchase and call it a day. Fran thinks he can pull it off. He is already brainstorming how to build automatic spinning and weaving machines to level up their farm game. Lana is already plotting their next business empire. With their own cloth and thread, they can move way past just selling simple hair scrunchies. Our boy finally makes it official and confirms they are buying the sheep, which makes her day. The sheep is definitely vibing with its new home. Our MC realizes they walked in for one thing and ended up leaving with a whole squad of animals. Realizing they are now responsible for a mini-zoo, Fran starts to feel the pressure. Lana just laughs off the stress, reminding him they have plenty of support back home. Lana thinks it is exciting that their little circle is getting bigger. Fran has never really felt lonely, but the idea of calling this group of family starts to actually hit home. He gets lost in a cozy vision of a quiet life together. It is a rare moment of peace where he actually sees them as a real family. A sudden sheep jump scare snaps him right out of his daydream. Lana catches him spacing out and wants to know what is going on in that head of his. Waz is already mapping out their future farm. He offers to train their new puppy to be a full-blown sheepdog in just 3 months. Lana can barely keep up with his energy. The kid is so hyped he even offers to do the training for free. Our MCs realize they are just following his lead at this point, but they are not complaining. The shopping trip finally wraps up with a serious haul. 1 cow, 2 goats, a sheep, and a tiny puppy are officially joining the squad. Lana heads off to visit Regulus while they are still in town. She leaves Fran with the puppy in a very difficult mission. He has to come up with a name before she gets back. Our boy is definitely overthinking it while the puppy just wants some attention. He admits naming things is not exactly his strong suit. The little guy just lets out a bark and enjoys the head scratches. A name finally clicks. He decides to call the puppy Scrunchy, a throwback to the very first thing Lana named for him. It is a cute tribute to their early days together. This little guy seems to approve with a loud bark. Fran warns him not to start biting already. It looks like the new name is officially locked in. Starting the chapter with some wholesome energy, Fran holds up the little corgi puppy and suggests the name Scrunchy, which Lana immediately loves. Lana is already planning the next phase of the farm. She asks if she can plant coffee and tea, though Fran notes she basically already bought the seeds anyway. After a good laugh, Lana settles in to pet their new companion. Seeing her this happy makes Fran realize she really is making this place her home. The mood gets a bit more serious as Fran looks away. He is actually surprised the arrogant crown prince hasn't sent any assassins after them yet. Looking at Lana's bright smile, he makes a silent vow. He will discard anyone coming for them to keep his promise to her. Business talk takes a sharp turn when Lana finds out the local wheat flour is way too cheap. She is actually fuming because she thinks the hard-working producers deserve way more. She is fully locked in her girl boss mode now. She screams about despising injustice and refuses to let greedy wholesalers profit off others. Fran finally connects the dots about Lana's past and why she fights so hard for the little guy. He realizes she is not just being difficult, she is actually reliving the trauma of being abused in her previous life. Looking at her back, he sees her desire for fair pay in a whole new light. She is not just protecting him, she is standing up for everyone caught in a bad system. The mood shifts fast when Lana timidly asks if she can build a 2-story cafe right next to their house. Our boy can tell she is holding something back. Apparently she got way too hyped while talking to Carlett and Mr. Clow. Things escalated quickly in the planning phase. When she drops the bill of 20 gold coins, Fran almost loses it. That is basically mansion money and she spent it all in one afternoon. She starts sweating and rattling off a list of high-end kitchen gear like refrigerators and coffee roasters. She basically planned the whole thing assuming he would just invent everything for her. Fran just rubs his face and gives in because he knows he is a complete pushover. He tells her they will talk about the details later once they are back home. Helena is stoked to finally use her high-tech fridge to whip up some pre-made meals. Our boy offers to help out, which earns him a bright thank you. Alana is loving the convenience, but Fran goes quiet for a second. He starts blushing and mumbles about how having things this easy means fewer chances for them to cook together. The new pup is officially too grown for baby food. He lets out a loud bark as they prep his dinner from the stock they just bought. Alana is losing it over how precious the little guy looks while he chows down. Fran can only agree as the corgi goes to town on his meal. Fran clears his throat to bring up the massive cafe bill, telling Alana she does not need to act so nervous now. He points out she has been dropping unreasonable requests the whole day, making her brace for a lecture. He pulls out a notebook and reads through her insane wish list for the shop. He lists off everything from industrial ovens to coffee roasters before asking if that is really it. Fran gets technical about why certain coffee gear might be a nightmare to build. They talk about how everyone likes their brew different, but the conversation quickly shifts back to his concerns about the oven. Fran gets technical about the oven design, realizing a metal unit is too expensive and difficult to build. He pivots to a stone version powered by a dragon stone to keep things practical. The blueprint reveals a triple-decker vertical setup that lets them cook different meals at different temperatures. It provides a major efficiency upgrade that skips the need for rare metals. Lano is floored by his genius, realizing this modular design is a business gold mine. Our MC stays humble, explaining how they can export the tech just by swapping the power source. She is hyped and tries to sneak a hand mixer onto the wish list while he is in a good mood. Fran is already asking for specs on the stones, ready to start the build. Our boy gets a bit confused, asking if she wants the fruit liquefying machine she mentioned earlier. Lana clarifies that while they are similar, her baking needs something more specific. Lana suggests they spend tomorrow making snacks together so he can see the gear in action. The idea of a shared kitchen session has his full attention. They both lock in for the baking marathon. They are already imagining the kitchen full of treats as they prep for the next day. Lana is ready to grind. With Waz arriving by noon, she wants to whip up some snacks and bread to pass the time. Efficiency is key, so Lana had some custom bread pans made to handle a massive batch. She wants to have plenty of stock ready for the upcoming rush. She even planned to share with the local tiger cubs, but the beasts have been suspiciously quiet lately. Lana is hoping Waz can take the extra batches off their hands. Fran is curious about the special menu, but Lana's intense grin already has him on edge. She has decided they are making chiffon cake. Lana explains that while it is a simple concept, the physical labor involved is no joke. Our boy is just standing there wondering if she is making up words again. The lesson is about to begin, and Lana is already in drill sergeant mode. The sheer energy she is giving off is starting to terrify our MC. No more talking. They dive straight into the prep by cracking eggs and separating the yolks for the first phase of the bake. Lana is selling the dream of an automatic whisk while our MC realizes how much manual labor is heading his way. She explains how the tech could pulverize ingredients and revolutionize her kitchen. The grind begins immediately. Lana keeps the orders coming, telling him to mix in the milk and oil before slowly adding the flour. Fran thinks he is done with the yolks, but his instructor is just getting started. She hands him the whisk and tells him it is time to whip those egg whites into a meringue. After a mountain of sugar and endless mixing, the bowl finally shows those perfect peaks. Our boy is convinced that whoever invented this process was a total menace. Lana mentions even tougher recipes from her old world involving itchy tubers and lime water. Fran is genuinely starting to wonder if her past life was spent in some kind of high-stakes labor camp. One final stretch to the finish line. She tells him to fold the meringue into the yolks while he screams internally about the infinite mixing loop. Our MC is face down on the floor after the baking marathon. Lana celebrates their success while he vows to build that hand mixer before his arms fall off. Lana notices a stray blob of meringue on our boy's forehead and tells him to stay still while she cleans it up. Fran tries to find the spot himself, but he is way off. Suddenly, she is right in his personal space holding his face. Our MC's brain has officially left the building as he stares up at her in total shock. She manages to get the spot and celebrates with a victory pose, completely oblivious to the emotional damage she just dealt. Fran is just trying to remember how to breathe after that close encounter. Seconds later, she is back to business and staring into the oven like a scientist. Fran can't believe how fast she switched back to professional mode after almost giving him a heart attack. He reminds her not to feed the sugary snacks to the local tigers, even if she is planning on baking a mountain of them. Lana gets defensive, insisting she already knows the rules. Lana drops some more old-world knowledge, explaining how to turn cream butter and milk into fresh cream. Our boy is just confused, but she is already dreaming of the finished cake. She grabs his arm with a huge grin, ready to start the next phase of the bake. Our MC realizes his arm workout is far from over and regrets every life choice that led to this moment. Our boy is already drafting a wish list for the ultimate kitchen setup. That hand mixer is officially the top priority to save his arms from another marathon. Waz and his mom finally arrive at the ranch with the delivery. The kid is way too hyped to be dropping off animals. Lauren introduces herself as the brains behind the operation. She is already sniffing out the fresh snacks Lana just pulled from the oven. The new cow gets straight to work at the food trough. Our boy gives the livestock a quick inspection and everything looks solid. Lauren drops a major warning about the local wild boars. These things are not just field wreckers, they are killers with zero chill. The conversation shifts to how tasty the boar meat actually is. Lauren assumes our noble MC is a seasoned hunter, but he claims he was too busy with chores. Flashback to his days as the Crown Prince's glorified retriever. He did go hunting, he just was not the one holding the weapons. Lana mentions boar stew and our MC is instantly convinced. He is officially adding Hunter to his resume just to keep her happy. Waz greets the pair at the door and offers them a place to sit. The table is set with plenty of fresh wheat bread, though Lauren apologizes for the quality of the tea. Lauren feels like she has been transported to a noble tea party as Fran presents the chiffon cake. He stays humble and asks for their honest feedback on the dish. The duo starts with the bread and immediately enters food heaven. Lauren is so hooked that she asks to dive into the chiffon cake next, and Fran is more than ready to serve. Looking at the finished product, it is hard to believe how fluffy it turned out after all that hard work. Lana suggests they try it without the cream first to appreciate the base texture. Waz is shocked that something with so much sugar can taste so light and faint. The pair is blown away by the fluffiness, and Lana checks in to see how the cream holds up. The vibe shifts instantly when Waz tries the cream and starts to look physically ill from the sugar. He realizes he cannot handle heavy sweets, leaving the bakers totally surprised. Waz struggles with the sugar overload while Lana scolds him for not speaking up sooner. She quickly switches gears to grab some tea to wash down the sweetness. A cup of hot tea helps Waz explain how he usually gives all his treats to his brothers. Apparently, everyone else in his family can handle the sweet stuff way better than he can. Reviews are officially in, and the cake is a huge success with the locals. Fran stands back impressed that the dish exceeded his own expectations. Attention shifts to Lauren's husband, Nadoyle, who is suffering from a painful herniated disc. Lana hands over samples for him while Lauren's expression turns so intense that it actually scares her own son. Back pain is no joke, so Lana offers to write down a list of helpful exercises for the recovery. Fran watches the interaction, curious if she is secretly speaking from personal experience. The big reveal is a custom hand mixer that Fran whipped up to speed up the kitchen workflow. Lauren is stunned by how fast he built it, but he just plays it cool while Lana looks on with a proud smile. There is no stopping this baking train as Lana starts rattling off a huge menu for the next day. She even tries to suggest some luxury chocolate from a neighboring dragonland before Fran shuts down the expensive idea. A map shows off the black dragon Braxilio's borders, known for iron coffee and those precious cacao beans. Lana is busy roasting the author for such a lazy name while she considers her options. Chocolate is a no-go because cacao is a luxury, but Lana is not about to let that stop her. She clenches her fist, ready to grind for the ingredients. Fran points out that the cake was a bit of a flop for Waz. Lana is not discouraged and vows to create a snack that he will actually enjoy eating. Lana sets down her tea and mentions she is officially over being a noble now that her memories are organized. She knows the cafe needs a savory option for the people who cannot handle the sugar. Sorting through a lifetime of jumbled memories was a total nightmare. It felt like a whole second life was just stacked on top of her current one. With silhouettes of her past and present selves in mind, Lana says she finally feels at peace. Fran can only look on, stunned by the depth of her struggle. Fran realizes he was completely oblivious to the war happening inside her head. He sighs, feeling like he cannot help her at all as she keeps her eyes fixed on him. Lana tells Fran that every day is fun because of him. She brushes off any worries and keeps the mood light as they walk. It has been a long time since she could smile every day. Lana prefers the hard work of doing things herself over her old noble ways, especially now that she gets to spend her life with him. Fran keeps it short and simple by agreeing with her. They are totally in sync as they move together. The list of inventions is growing fast, covering everything from fertilizer makers to industrial mixers. This dude is basically a one-man industrial revolution. Lana is hyping up the dishwasher Fran built as a god-level appliance. He thinks she is exaggerating, but she is clearly obsessed with the new tech. She asks if this is the first thing he has ever invented on his own. He admits he just wanted one for himself too, showing he is all about that convenience life. The machine uses water and soap powder to automate the dirty dishes. Fran is surprised to learn that this original idea of his was already common in the world Lana came from. Lana gives him credit for his growth and keeps the affection going. He claims to be conflicted, but he stays right where he is. She is ready to drop fertilizer and turn the whole place into an orchard. Fran notes they would have to clear the forest for that to work. They realize they have never even stepped inside the woods and decide to explore. Lana wants cacao for her sweets, but Fran warns her it is not that easy. Seconds later, she finds wild cacao pods just hanging there. Fran cannot believe his eyes because that should be impossible. The forest is packed with coffee, peppercorns, and chili peppers. Fran realizes the guardian dragon probably blessed this land since they are so close to the border. He says they can hang out here as long as they do not mess up the place. Lana gives him a cheeky salute and calls him the professor. Lana finds wild yams and starts dreaming about a rice bowl. Fran is lost because he has no clue what rice even is. Lana is having a literal meltdown because this world has zero rice. Fran is just standing there, already used to her random outbursts about the world building. She starts flaming the author of their story for having terrible descriptions and completely forgetting the best food. Fran tries to talk her down, but she is way too deep in her feelings about the menu. After cooling off, Lana explains that rice was the staple grain from her past life. Fran is completely lost, having never even heard of the stuff. Fran comes in with the big brain move and suggests they ask Regulus to source it. Since Regulus is the top merchant in the country, finding some mystery grain should be light work for them. As Lana starts dreaming about rice flour donuts, Fran starts overthinking the lore. He wonders why someone with knowledge of a superior world would intentionally leave so much out of this one. Our boy realizes that having every luxury does not automatically mean you are happy. He knows Lana went through it in her past life, and he suspects the author might have felt the same way. This dude totally relates because his life as a nobleman was chill but way less satisfying than his current hustle. He just hopes Lana is feeling the same kind of peace working by his side. He stands alone, wondering if she is truly finding happiness by his side. Thinking he is being too pretentious, he decides that becoming her friend is the proper first step. He knows she likely still sees him as just an acquaintance for now. His feelings run deep from the very beginning, but he knows she only started noticing him a few months back. He wants to build a future where she feels just as joyful as he does. Personal growth is on the menu as he aims to eventually become a husband she can actually love. For today, friendship remains the priority. The romantic atmosphere is shattered when she demands he build a noodle machine for Raymond. Our boy does not even question it and manages to finish the invention before the sun goes down. She is ecstatic about making her soy sauce ramen, and he is happy to play along. The piece ends abruptly when a heavy knock at the door catches them off guard. The storm brings two unexpected guests to the ranch looking for shelter. Regulus and her brother Grice are completely drenched from the pouring rain. The couple quickly ushers their drenched friends inside to escape the worsening weather. Regulus explains they were just finishing up some business in the nearby town. The flood outside makes the river crossing impossible for at least another day. Fran takes their soaking robes to dry while everyone gets settled in for the night. Deciding a ramen party is the best way to handle the sleepover, Lana shows off her new noodle maker. Grice stands frozen in front of the machine as the others begin planning dinner. Shifting the conversation, the guests mention a recent meeting with the Doltonal family. Regulus steps in to explain the real motive behind their late-night visit. She reveals a massive project to build a main road connecting the ranch directly to civilization. Fran immediately brings up the problem of funding for such a huge construction effort. The plan involves opening a dedicated training school for dragon stone crafters in the local area. Fran is left processing the sudden news that they want him to be the lead teacher. Regulus is dropping a master plan to open a trade school to solve the local unemployment crisis. Since Fran's carving tech is way too high level, they need to train an army of craftsmen to handle the workload. Lana is totally obsessed with the idea and calls Regulus a straight-up genius. Fran tries to say he didn't agree to anything, but his girl shuts that down immediately. Our boy is skeptical about his talent being recognized, but Lana keeps the energy high. Regulus leans in to mention that the Doltonal family is going to pay out big for this whole project. High unemployment among the youth is apparently a major issue they can exploit for growth. Lana is all about wringing out every bit of profit from this money-making opportunity. The title of expert advisor sounds cool until you see the mountain of work attached to it. Fran is already feeling the stress of his new job description. Next on the list is mass-producing soap in refrigerators before the summer heat hits. Lana is convinced this tech combo will help everyone manage their food properly. Saving lives from food poisoning is the real mission behind the manufacturing push. Fran is genuinely impressed that they've mapped out the strategy this far ahead. Lana is mapping out a plan to mass-produce refrigerators for 30 silver coins. She points right at Fran to let him know he is the muscle behind the inventory. The business meeting quickly turns into a dessert request. Lana is begging for a large freezer because she is ready to start making her own ice cream. Regulus serves up the snacks while dropping a bombshell by asking when the couple is going to have kids. Pointing out the nursery they already have ready is enough to send Fran into a blushing panic. Fran tries to stutter through an explanation about still being new to the ranch life. Regulus just laughs it off and says they will probably feel more like starting a family once they adjust to being commoners. Our boy is still fidgeting from the awkward topic, but Lana is determined to save the mood. She shouts for everyone to start eating before the ice cream turns into a puddle. Grice is having a spiritual experience with the cold sweets while Regulus is blown away by the flavor. Lana gives all the credit to the high-tech dairy gear Fran built for her. Humble bragging is not an option with Lana around. She reminds him that building complex machinery from elaborate blueprints in a single day is definitely not a normal person thing to do. Lana suggests adding the new soft drink to the menu. Grice takes a sip and immediately starts hacking a lung. Regulus panics while staring at the mysterious cubes in the glass. It is just ice from the freezer, but Regulus reacts like she just saw a miracle. Lana is genuinely confused about why frozen water is such a big deal. Regulus explains that ice is a legendary treasure usually found only in Dragon Territory caves. It is so rare that only royalty gets to enjoy it during the winter. Lana immediately sees a way to make bank by selling freezers. Regulus warns her to slow down because dropping this tech on the public could be dangerous. Realizing that she could crash the entire luxury market, Lana starts to see the potential for chaos. Replicating a royal delicacy would change everything. Regulus is low-key terrified of Lana's business instincts. They decide to offer the ice to the royal family first to see how they handle it. Lana asks if there are other items like this out there. Regulus reveals that she comes from a volcanic island where the heat is so intense it is actually lethal. Regulus explains the harsh reality of her homeland, where temperatures swing from lethal heat to freezing cold. Her tribe lives in total devotion to the dragon god of the islands. Most people view her kind with fear or hatred, but she notices the couple does not look disgusted at all. Chibi, Lana, and Fran take the news in stride like it is just another piece of trivia. Life was so rough that she and her brother ended up in an orphanage built by another country. Now, they are working their hearts out with the hope of one day buying that building back. Lana beams and calls it a wonderful dream, which clearly catches Regulus off guard. Fran watches his partner with a gentle look, admiring her relentless positivity. While Lana stays upbeat, she secretly realizes that an orphanage with political backing in a closed territory is probably impossible to buy. She keeps that cold reality to herself to protect the mood. Regulus is moved and tells Lana she is a truly good girl. She admits that seeing the couple work gives her hope that they can actually change the world. With the ice plan on hold, the conversation shifts to what other inventions they have ready to go. Lana is already fired up and ready for the next big project. Regulus breaks down the harsh living conditions of her people while Lana realizes ice cream might not be the priority right now. Getting a stomach ache is the least of their worries in a place like that. The water situation is actually tragic with kids facing the worst of the drought. It is a pay-to-win system for basic survival and the stakes are higher than they thought. Lana immediately switches gears to industrial engineering. She is basically calling for a total infrastructure overhaul starting with high-tech pumps and heavy machinery. The plan is to use a jackhammer to bust open the earth and get a hand pump installed. Siphoning water up from the deep is the only way to save the village. Regulus reminds everyone that production takes time even with a genius on the team. Spawning heavy metal equipment out of thin air in a few days is just not happening. Raw materials are the main issue since iron has to be imported from a whole different territory. The new move is to build a school first and tackle the water project with a full team later. Fran realizes his freedom is officially gone as the girls draft him into becoming an instructor. They are already planning the curriculum while he just wants to avoid the extra work. Just as they are about to get to work, a massive crack of thunder rattles the whole house. Lana jumps at the sound while our boy Fran is caught completely off guard by the storm. Pure instinct takes over as Lana grabs onto Fran's arm for dear life. She quickly lets go with a major blush, apologizing for the sudden squeeze, while Fran is left standing there looking stunned. Things get awkward fast when Lana asks if he is also scared of the storm. Fran is basically a statue at this point, stuttering that he is totally fine despite being frozen in place. Regulus is not having any of the drama and tells her brother to chill out already. She even drops a savage comment about how his behavior is probably why he is still single without any kids. The mood shifts when they spot smoke rising through the heavy rain. Lana panics thinking a bridge collapsed, but Fran is more focused on how close she is standing. It is time for a scout mission as one of the mysterious visitors decides to go investigate the smoke. They tell the others to stay behind and promise to be back before things get even worse. Out in the mud, the hooded figures discuss how the rain is much heavier than expected for this time of year. They mention a phenomenon called the dragon howl, realizing the timing of this storm is all wrong. Fran and Regulus are scouting through the storm when they hear a strange noise. Regulus tries to tease him for being so quick to jump into action, but Fran isn't in the mood for jokes right now. A faint cry for help echoes from a wreckage site nearby. A giant shadow looms over a destroyed carriage and a group of terrified travelers, making the whole scene feel like a nightmare. The duo freezes up as they finally get a clear look at what they are dealing with. This was not part of the plan for their night. A pitch-black dragon with glowing eyes watches over the crash site. It's so huge that the people on the ground don't even realize it's right behind them. Regulus wants to dip before they get toasted, but our boy isn't leaving them behind. He hands over the lantern and asks her to grab a robe so he can step in and handle business. Breakfast is served and the vibes are domestic, but the mood is heavy as the hosts check in on their unexpected visitors. Both guests are still knocked out cold after last night's chaos. Regulus is shook that our boy is a master in the kitchen too. Lena just drops the flex that he handled the whole spread himself. Flashback to the storm where the horses went wild as the thieves panicked, thinking the law had arrived. A lantern shattered in the chaos while the criminals bolted into the night, followed closely by Regulus. With no one watching, he made his move and jumped straight into the wreckage. Searching through the rain, he found the driver and a young boy trapped inside the smashed carriage. The kid looks like high-ranking nobility from Braxilios, which makes the lack of guards super suspicious. The driver was talking nonsense, so Fran just knocked him out to deal with it later. Back in the present, he asks Regulus if she has any ties to the Braxilios' big shots, but her reach doesn't go that high. Before they can plan their next move, she demands an answer to a question he skipped yesterday, even as he's still distracted by his latest invention. Regulus sets the record straight immediately. She is not talking about his inventions, she wants him teaching at the new school. She tries to frame it as a low-effort gig where he just pops in to lecture some kids. Our boy is radiating pure despair at the thought of more work. Then comes the game changer. Regulus mentions he can use the students to harvest their massive fields, and Fran is suddenly all ears for that free labor. Lana is sold and even offers to fund the whole project. She plays the community hero for the public, but behind closed doors, she and Regulus are already plotting a kayfabe business empire. The conversation gets cut short as their house guest finally wakes up. The carriage driver wanders out, looking completely lost as he enters the room. He takes a second to get his bearings before dropping a deep bow of gratitude for the rescue. Introductions go around and the driver identifies himself as Gordo. Lena casually introduces Fran as her husband, which almost makes our boy choke on his own spit. Fran is barely holding it together after that marriage comment. He plays it cool while Lana checks in on him. The husband title is doing serious damage to Fran's mental state. Gordo breaks the tension by suggesting they get some food and check on the kid. He even offers to help find the boy's family since he was dressed like a VIP. Gordo gets a bit emotional while Lana and Fran keep their eyes on the prize. She gives the signal that the food is already warmed up and ready to go. Fran heads over to the nursery, which is finally getting some use. After a quick knock, he enters to see how their guest is doing. The boy stares back with striking golden eyes. Lana realizes this kid is way more than just a random noble. Those eyes are the mark of the sacred glow, which is a massive plot point from the original story. Between his dark skin and high-end clothes, the realization starts to sink in. Lana is practically spiraling as she tries to confirm her theory. Gordo takes his leave, leaving the couple to deal with the mystery guest. Fran lets out a tired sigh and prepares to make his move. Fran drops a knee to show some formal etiquette. He introduces himself properly to the young guest. Our boy gets the shock of a lifetime. The kid confirms he is Prince Twilight Braxilios and mentions he was just out visiting the dragon. The dragon mention has Fran shivering in place. Twi is way too casual about it, giving a cheerful confirmation before jumping up on the bed to share a secret. According to Twee, the legendary beast is basically a playground slide. He describes riding on its back and reaching for the sky as if it is the most natural thing in the world. The dragon is huge, scaly, and apparently a little warm to the touch. Fran finally pieces it together, realizing the dragon dropped the prince off at the border, and he was just making a long trip back to the capital. The diagram breaks down the chaos. Guards could not keep up with the guardian dragon, and the driver had to fend off thieves until the dragon sensed danger and rushed back. Fran is left with a tired smile. He tries to be understanding of the prince's attitude, noting that the boy reminds him of his own younger brother. Fran notices the kid seems to have enjoyed himself. He points out that the crazy storm cleared up the second they brought the prince inside, almost like the sky was reacting to him being in danger. Our boy checks if the little prince is hungry and offers a more casual nickname. Twee is all in for the new name, especially if it means food is on the way. The menu is looking stacked with warm savory soup and some special bread with sweet jam. One look at those sparkly eyes and you know the kid is ready to feast. Twi wants the whole menu and he wants it now. Fran wastes no time, putting Regulus on furniture duty while Lana heads to the kitchen. Lana arrives with the goods while Twi says a quick prayer to the guardian dragon. The kid is definitely grateful for the warm meal. Turns out the table is way too tall for the little guy. Fran offers up his lap as a booster seat, and Twi is absolutely beaming at the idea. Dinner is served with Twee perched right on Fran's lap. The sweet and tasty bread is a total hit, even if the rest of the crew is still a little stunned by the casual vibe. Fran is trying to stay serious while the prince is just pure vibes. He realizes that having a beloved child of the dragon around is basically a cheat code for any kingdom. The stakes are higher than they thought, because kids like him have started world wars in the past. Since a new beloved child has not been seen in decades, the target on his back is only getting bigger. There is no way they can let other nations get their hands on him, even if he is the most precious thing they have encountered. With the decision made, the rescued crew is showing some major gratitude. The whole squad agrees to keep this on the low and just get the prince back where he belongs to avoid any global drama. To keep things chill, our boy suggests a little fishing trip, while they get everything ready for the journey. Everyone is getting hyped for the outdoor adventure, even if the prince has zero idea what a fish even looks like. He warns the little guy to stay close, since the river is still running wild after the storm. The little prince is still struggling with names, so he gives our boy a cute nickname. Fran points to himself as he officially becomes known as You. Twi is already zooming off with high energy. Fran suggests they go grab some fishing gear, and the prince is totally down for the adventure. Before things get too crazy, Fran stops the kid to offer a piggyback ride. He is not about to risk an international incident by letting the VIP trip and fall. The prince spots a horse and immediately demands a ride. Fran is sweating over the danger, but he cannot help but notice how cute children are when they are excited. Our MC decides that a ranch tour is the best way to keep the kid busy. The secret quest to return the prince safely is now officially underway. It is upsy-daisy time as Fran lifts the prince into the air. He spins the little guy around to give him a better view of the ranch before they head out. Meeting the local crew is a huge success. Twee checks out the dog, the cow, and the horse as he gets a taste of life on the farm. Fran introduces the ranch squad, naming everyone from Lucy the horse to Galby the cow. Highlighted among them is Scrunchy the puppy, who is ready to make a new friend. Twee loves the fluff, laughing about how soft the dog feels. Seeing the prince vibe with the animals is a win for our MC. Lana brings out the heat with a fresh batch of croissants and hot soup. She tells the boys to dig in while they can. Twi is loving the new menu and thanks the chef. Lana keeps it professional, saying she can't let her guests get bored of the same old flavors. Fran is doing the math on travel times, noting that a carriage would take a week while the dragon did it in a day. Just as he goes to check on Regulus, a loud knock interrupts his thoughts. Our boy swings the door open only to find a familiar face standing there with a huge grin. It is a surprise visit from the local kid. The kid introduces his father, who happens to be a vet looking to pay back a favor. Apparently, Lana's stretching advice was a lifesaver for them. To show their gratitude, they brought a whole cow as a gift. Fran is completely blindsided by the sudden addition to the ranch. Fran forces a smile while thanking them for the livestock, but internally he is panicking about the timing. He quickly whispers to Lana that they need to distract the guests and keep the prince out of sight. Twee pops up with maximum energy demanding a VP tour to see the ranch cow. While the kid keeps the crowd busy, Fran pulls Lauren aside to drop a secret request. Our boy uses the nearby cliffs as a cover story to get Lauren to babysit the prince for a bit. Lauren is totally down, but she is way more interested in getting some high society tea from Lana. Back inside, Gordo is impressed by the quick thinking, noting that local cooperation makes things way easier. He is a little confused about the sudden cliff safety concern, but he decides to just roll with it. Lana leans in way too close to tell Fran she will keep things under control at the ranch. Our MC is completely blindsided by her scent and can barely focus while she tells him to stay safe out there. Fran watches the prince have the time of his life for a second before heading out. He keeps the exit brief, promising to be right back as he slides the door open. Walking through the fields, Fran reflects on the massive divide between the prince and common society. He knows that despite the current vibes, their worlds are fundamentally separate and likely will not cross again. Seeing Twee brings back memories of Alfaldo when he was actually still cute. Even as a kid, he had a magnetic charisma that drew everyone in, though he was always a little full of himself. Alfaldo was a menace even as a kid, demanding our boy serve as his shadow for the rest of his life. He definitely had that magnetic charisma, but Fran can't help but wish he had actually grown into a king worthy of his title, instead of the mess he became. Snapping back to reality, Fran finds himself standing alone at the edge of the cliffs. He looks out over the landscape, confirming he is in position for the next stage of the plan. A voice from below breaks the silence as a knight spots him from the trail. She is looking for a 5-year-old boy and warns him to move away from the dangerous cliff edge immediately. Before he can even react, she charges straight up the incline on the back of a massive dragon horse. Fran is completely blindsided by the sudden rush of power as the beast clears the gap effortlessly. The knight takes a second to scan the area, realizing there are no other houses around to witness her flashy entrance. She admits she might have been a bit too conspicuous with that stunt. She introduces herself as Loriana Fardingham Knight, a proud member of the Black Dragon Brixilios Royal Guards. She stands tall, making her elite status very clear. Fran keeps it polite and introduces himself, though he is internally panicking that a literal royal guard has shown up. This was supposed to be a low-profile mission, but a big shot just landed right in his lap. Fran keeps it chill, but Loriana is internally glitching after realizing he is a former noble. She panics and tries to change the subject, losing her cool for a second. Fran stays focused, asking if she is ready to find the person she is looking for. Our boy explains how he found the kid in the rain and offers a chance to confirm his identity. Loriana eagerly agrees, ready to see the truth for herself. Fran reflects on how rare it is to see a female knight like her in this world. Twee spots the knight and lets out a happy shout, calling her his big sister. Loriana is relieved the search is finally over, but Fran is standing there with a massive question mark over his head. This family reveal was definitely not on his bingo card today. The reunion is wholesome as the prince tackles his big sister with a hug. Loriana finally lets out a sigh of relief, glad her highness is unharmed. Fran is still trying to wrap his head around the fact that a royal guard and the prince are actually siblings. Fran finally asks if they are actually blood-related, still a bit skeptical. Loriana drops the lore, explaining that they have different mothers. It is a complicated royal family situation, but the bond is clearly real. She is known back home as the runaway princess who hated her adoption. Refusing to just sit around, she joined the royal guard so she could actually have a life and stay close to her family. It is a pretty genius move to secure some freedom. Fran smiles, telling the prince it is time to head home with his sister. He thinks about how smart her play was, using a high rank to avoid being stuck in a castle. Twee is just hyped to finally head back. The reality of leaving finally sinks in. Twee looks up, asking in a small voice if he really has to go home already. He turns to his new friend Waz, wondering if they can ever play again. Waz looks back with a quiet glance, clearly feeling the weight of the moment. Waz breaks into a big grin and promises to play again whenever he gets some time off. Twee reacts by lighting up with a happy smile. They seal their promise with a firm handshake. While Twee is happy, Waz knows the reality of their different worlds means they likely will never meet again. This is a brief bond between a royal prince and the son of a livestock breeder, just two kids running together under a vast sky. Back at the carriage, Loriana is surprised to see the pickup team arrive so quickly. Lena stands by, slightly annoyed that she already went through the effort of preparing her own carriage. Souvenir bread for the road. Lana hands over a gift while casually plugging her upcoming business. Twee vouches for the quality as Loriana prepares to try a local sweet. Loriana insists on returning the favor because of her country's custom, even though our boy just wants to keep a low profile and avoid any political headaches. He asks them to keep their meeting a secret since he has zero interest in getting involved with high-level affairs. Fran realizes they are already in too deep since a high-ranking knight is standing right in front of them. He and Lana can only nod along as the situation spirals out of their control. The knight is not taking no for an answer, promising a formal royal thank you later. Fran practically begs them to just drop it, but it is clear his peaceful ranch life is under threat. Twy looks up with the most wholesome smile, asking if he can come back to play with his new friend Waz. Our boy is caught off guard by how much the little prince actually enjoyed himself. Twy keeps the pressure on, making Wise blush as they share a quiet goodbye. A quick squeeze of the hand and a few footsteps are all that's left as the visit wraps up. Our MC is fighting a losing battle with his own conscience. He really wants to stay out of trouble, but seeing the kids bond makes it impossible to say no. Fran finally caves, deciding to just let whatever happens happen. He realizes that as an adult, he just can't say no to those hopeful faces. Setting boundaries is the priority, so Lana makes it clear that future visits need a proper heads up. Fran is just happy to follow her lead. Curiosity gets the better of Loriana as she starts asking about their living situation. Fran keeps it simple, explaining they run this self-sufficient ranch as a duo. A simple question about them being siblings gets shut down instantly. Lana drops the couple label without skipping a beat, leaving the room in a state of shock. Tactical retreat initiated. The awkwardness reaches a breaking point, forcing Fran to make a desperate excuse about needing the bathroom just to escape the vibes. Hearing that specific word come out of her mouth hits way harder than any of her previous titles. It is a level of emotional impact that he just was not ready to handle. This is a total system crash. The sheer weight of her words is enough to leave him completely incapacitated in the middle of the hallway. A quick floor sniff is apparently all it takes to reset the brain. He marches back into the room before Lana can even process where he went. Our boy tries to play off his weirdness by claiming the floor smell actually refreshed him. While he brushes off the confusion, the realization that he is married has wrecked Loriana. She stands there in a chibi daze, repeating the news over and over as her heart breaks in the background. Loriana is absolutely crushed on the ground, while the others wonder what happened to her nightly cool. While Gordo keeps repeating the news that Fran is married, our boy starts connecting the dots about why Loriana was looking at him so weirdly before. Fran wonders if he was actually being scouted as a husband candidate, but Lana just gives him a cold, sarcastic congrats on the honor. He realizes class differences are not a thing in her kingdom, which makes Lana flinch as the mood shifts to something much heavier. Lana hits him with a total deadpan stare, looking more emotionless than he has ever seen her in his entire life. She starts letting out a creepy laugh that leaves him questioning if she is actually jealous, or if she is just straight up losing it. Loriana finally snaps back to reality and tries to regain her composure by offering a formal thank you for protecting the prince. Loriana insists that keeping the prince's rescue a secret would hurt the crown's pride, so she tells our boy to name his price. Lana jumps in with a bright smile, pitching a request for a steady iron supply to jumpstart her dream of a dragon stone trade school. Fran is just glad to see her back in her element, watching as she already begins plotting their future business takeover. The deal gets even better as she locks down a cheap supply route, leaving the knight a bit confused but willing to send over some iron experts. With Lana throwing out thumbs-ups and acting like her usual self, Fran is left questioning if that scary behavior from earlier was even real. It is finally time for the royal squad to head out on their winged dragon horse, promising to settle the score for the help they received. Twy and Wise share one last wholesome moment, shouting goodbyes and promising to link up again in the future. Fran watches the royals fly away and tells Wise he is happy for him. The kid made a new friend, and they both wave goodbye as the beast disappears into the clouds. Only 1 week passes before Loriana pulls back up to the ranch in a carriage. She is hyped to be back exactly as she promised, while Fran is left reeling by how fast she returned. Fran mentions how quickly they met again, but the princess just laughs it off as her doing her best. She introduces her new team consisting of a merchant named Eld and an ironworker named Cade to get their project started. Fran gets busy in the kitchen and serves up a fresh bowl of salty sauce ramen. Compromises were made on the ingredients, but the presentation remains on point. The newcomers are a bit confused by the dish, noting it does not look like any pasta they have ever seen. They analyze the components, from the fish-based soup to the marinated eggs sitting on top. Our MC tells them not to expect a masterpiece since it was a rush job, but the aroma is already winning them over. Loriana is practically vibrating with excitement as she asks if she can dig in. The first bite is a success, and Loriana is instantly obsessed with the flavor. Even the workers are impressed by the depth of the broth, asking for more of the marinated eggs. Fran had to break the news that egg rations were tight, leaving everyone with just half a piece. Despite the limited toppings, Eld was already sold on the flavor and ready to take the recipe home. Eld wasted no time making a business move, asking Lana for the recipe and the noodle maker blueprints. He wanted to turn it into a local specialty back home and told her to name her price. Loriana was hyped about the deal, already celebrating the fact that they could eat ramen in their own country. Even though the name kept getting mixed up, everyone was too busy enjoying the meal to care. Fast forward a bit, and that marinated egg ramen actually became a legendary local dish in Braxilios. It got so famous that even the royal guard started making regular pit stops for a bowl. A month flew by, and the trade school for the dragon stone crafters was finally ready for business. The new dormitory was also finished, marking a big milestone for the ranch project. With the school just 10 minutes away, students spent their free time helping out with the ranch harvest. Grice moved in to run things full-time, leaving our MC with a way lighter teaching schedule. Everything seemed perfect, but things were a little different at the new ranch cafe built next to the house. Lana is going through it, clutching her head like she is in the middle of a major crisis. The narrator mentions that she has been dealing with a lot of trouble lately. The current struggle is naming the new cafe, but Fran's suggestion of Alana Cafe is an immediate miss. She calls it cringe just as a knock at the door brings a surprise delivery. A mystery package arrives containing a wooden box and a fat stack of mail. Our boy picks them up, wondering what could be inside the crate. The letters are from their business partners and families, but the box carries the Ruthvet crest. Lana gets a bad feeling as she prepares to open her father's package. The box is absolutely stuffed with letters, mostly from Lana's dad. She is not hyped about the reading list, but Fran tells her there might be some critical documents in the pile. Chibi Fran can only offer a weak good luck as the naming duties just doubled. Regulus sent a note asking for a name for the new bakery signboard, giving Lana zero time to rest. Our boy opens his own family mail and the vibe gets serious. The letter claims the king is taking a more active role lately, and Lana is already leaning in for the tea. The news just keeps getting worse. Prince Alfaldo skipped town with Rafana for a study abroad trip, and apparently the king is not doing too hot. Our boy's dad warns them that a royal visit is probably happening sooner than they thought. The prince is definitely just trying to flex his engagement to the dragon's favorite child. It is a total power move, but things are going to get messy back in Alcegios. Lana starts shaking as she remembers her role in the original story. In the novel version, she gets possessed by an evil dragon and just gets casually deleted from existence. The plot thickens because in that book, her father actually poisoned the king to get back at him for her banishment. Luckily, they realize their current reality is already drifting pretty far from the script. Lana knows her real dad is not that reckless. They decide to play it safe and keep things moving. Our boy suggests they start spamming the prime minister with letters to keep their bases covered. It is all about that networking. Fran drops a line about making her whatever she wants in the future, and Lana looks like she just got hit with a critical strike. He keeps talking about technical stone tool doctrines while she is stuck on that accidental proposal vibe. Our boy is internally screaming as his brain finally registers that accidental proposal vibe. He is convinced Lana is absolutely disgusted by the slip of the tongue. He immediately pivots to business talk to hide the embarrassment, ranting about cafe refrigerators. Lana is too busy drowning in gloom over her never-ending naming duties to even notice. They dive back into the massive pile of mail, starting with a specific letter from the Doltonals. There are so many documents to go through before they can even think about the next step. A new letter drops a bombshell that stops them both in their tracks. Apparently, the Princess of Solgigios wants a personal meeting. Alana is losing it because a literal princess just requested a meeting over some scented soap and a hair dryer. The shock is real as she tries to process why royalty is suddenly sliding into their DMs. She snatches the letter to double-check the dates and realizes the original novel timeline is moving way faster than expected. While the prince and Rifana make moves elsewhere, our duo is stuck staring at a mountain of mail that might be their death warrant. A quick look at the peaceful ranch reveals the calm before the storm. According to the script of the original book, things are supposed to go south in a dark forest soon, and they are definitely not about that life. The mood gets heavy as they realize they need to dodge the novel plot before it catches up to them. Every second spent hesitating is another step closer to a bad ending. Our boyfriend decides to pivot the strategy and suggests heading straight to the royal capital. If they can meet in the city instead of a spooky forest, they might actually survive, even if commoners usually are not allowed in the VIP section. He plans to use their merchant friend Regulus as a shield for a formal business talk. Since princesses love a good shopping trip, the new plan involves a legendary secret weapon, pancakes. Behold the ultimate bribe for royalty, fluffy pancakes topped with ice cream. They figure a stack of these can solve any political crisis, or at least distract the princess long enough for them to escape the novel tragic fate. Fran thinks they should use their secret weapon since being too popular might get them stuck as royal chefs. Lana is against the idea because she still has a bakery and cafe to launch. Refusing the invitation is not an option since it came through their business partners. They decide it is finally time to commit to the trip. Lana starts listing off her to-do list while wishing they had a modern car to make the trip easier. Fran watches as she spirals into a planning frenzy about pancake recipes. The reality of their situation is finally starting to sink in. Even though the future feels like a fixed script, they are still struggling to process the weight of it all. She stares into the distance and reflects on the fact that she knows exactly what the novel has in store. It is a weird feeling to be living out a story that was already written by someone else. She remembers the specific scenes from the book that are supposed to happen soon. Even as the story moves into its second arc, the danger is still very real. Fran realizes he might be a bigger part of this world destiny than he originally thought. If his inventions are showing up in the sequel, then he is definitely not just a side character anymore. Lana is totally glitching out while trying to start a serious conversation. She keeps stalling, and the awkwardness in the room is reaching critical levels. Instead of actually explaining herself, she starts aggressively whisking like her life depends on it. She finally snaps that she can't put it into words, before suddenly pointing the whisk at him with a wild look. Fran is left standing there with a blank stare as she tells him to just be honest if he finds someone else. She claims she can live on her own just fine, which is a massive curveball he was not prepared for. The cooking continues while she tries to act like she didn't just drop an emotional bomb. Pancakes hit the pan, but the vibe is still incredibly tense. Our boy is sweating buckets and completely lost in his thoughts. He can't believe she's saying this when she's the only person he actually cares about. Lana turns back with a pouty face, still frustrated that her brain isn't cooperating. Fran can only give a confused, polite response while trying to process the chaos. She clutches her whisk tight, looking like she's about to break down. She tells him she knows he's only with her to avoid the prince, completely missing the fact that he's actually head over heels for her. Lana keeps going on about how he should follow his heart and be with the person he actually loves. She is basically telling him he is free to leave if he finds someone better. Our MC is completely lost in the sauce. He just wants to know what she is even talking about. Lana starts glitching out and claims she cannot explain it anymore. She shuts down the talk and tells him to just bring her some plates. Plates in hand, he finally speaks up. He tells her she is the only person he cares about and asks if he can just stay with her. The internal panic sets in as he wonders if she just sees him as a regular acquaintance. He starts spiraling and thinks she might be trying to ask for a divorce. He wants their feelings to be mutual but has no clue how to make it happen. The only solution his brain can come up with is to seduce her. There is just one small problem. He has zero experience with women because he spent his entire life being the cleanup crew for the Crown Prince. Our boy is still stuck on the whole seduction thing while the carriage rattles along. He is genuinely wondering what that even entails. Inside the carriage, Lana is vibing with the scenery until she notices Fran looks like he is about to see his soul. She offers to take a break, but he insists he is fine despite the constant shaking. Sensing the awkward energy, Waz leans in to whisper and asks if the two just had a falling out. Lana can only give a shaky response while looking completely stressed. Location jump. Back in the city, the group arrives at a place filled with beautiful greenery. Fran watches the scenery with a neutral expression. He notes that the town is much greener than expected, almost like being back at the ranch. It is a peaceful view that masks the rising tension. The gears start turning as he realizes the Crown Prince has already arrived and everything is matching the original script. He knows Lana is stressed and is determined to avoid that path at all costs. Regulus is already getting annoyed by being forced to wait for an hour. The group is told to get some rest since the big meeting with the princess is tomorrow. The room is eerily quiet with no servants in sight, making the group feel like something is definitely off. Just as he decides to go check on his father, a sudden knock on the door has him wondering if the prince already made it. The doors fly open as the first princess, Rosalie Selgigios, makes a grand entrance while apologizing for being late. Lana stays composed while Regulus kicks things off with a formal greeting to their royal guest. Introduction time. Lana presents her husband and their business partner, while the princess mentions her family was supposed to be there too. Rosalie leads the way to the meeting spot while Fran is still mentally processing the blunt energy in the room. The princess is all in for business as she gets ready to dive into the latest product reveals. The princess is losing it over some basic beauty products, acting like a normal teen for once. Our boy Fran just watches the hype train go off the rails while the others wonder if they are even needed. The food test is a total win as the princess falls in love with their custom sandwiches. Lana wastes zero time pitching a new bakery opening to secure that royal bag. Regulus tries to play it cool by suggesting a shop in the capital, but the princess is already reaching for her wallet. The deal is sealed before they even finish the sentence, and Lana drops the news about her new role in government. Managing a village near the capital is harder than it looks, and the princess is struggling to find a specialty product. Regulus points out their bread is the perfect solution while Lana focuses on survival prep. Lana almost slips up and mentions reading about food in a manga before quickly pivoting to old books. She introduces the legendary baguette as the ultimate survival food, leaving the princess completely confused. She starts explaining how to eat the bread to cover her tracks by acting like she forgot the book name. The princess is totally buying it, assuming Lana is just a deep researcher of ancient history. The princess is officially a fangirl, praising Lana for being so studious and knowledgeable. She immediately starts begging for more secret recipes, putting our girl on the spot. Rosalie gets serious and admits she's actually facing a bit of a dilemma. The situation gets complicated fast when she reveals a neighboring prince just arrived, catching Fran and Lana off guard. The meeting with Princess Rosalie takes a sharp turn when she drops a massive diplomatic bomb on the group. A neighboring prince has officially arrived, and the vibe in the room instantly shifts. Fran's mind immediately goes to the worst-case scenario, wondering if the dumb crown prince is about to ruin his peaceful life. The princess confirms there's actually two of them, and the surprise is enough to keep everyone on edge. It turns out Alfaldo showed up 3 hours ago with his new girl in tow, but that wasn't even the biggest issue. Right after them, the Crown Prince of Brixilios made his grand entrance, leaving Fran and Lana completely floored. To make matters worse, Prince Twilight is actually the fiancé to the fourth princess, but Alfaldo's late arrival has thrown the whole schedule into chaos. Our boy can't help but feel a little responsible for the delay, offering a very awkward apology for the mess. This dude Alfaldo really outdid himself this time. Not only did he drag his side piece on a supposed study trip, but he also managed to be late for a high-level royal meeting, earning him the well-deserved nickname Alphadombo. Carlet tries to smooth things over by explaining their sudden relocation, but the princess is just confused why our duo is apologizing so much. Fran and Lana are basically in survival mode, bowing to every royal they see just to stay out of trouble. The princess is as sharp as a razor, immediately picking up on the fact that they don't even have citizenship here yet. She mentions seeing Regulus around as a merchant, proving that she's been keeping a very close eye on everyone entering her borders. Rosalie is a straight-up detective, claiming she spotted him chatting with diplomats back in Alcegios. She locks eyes with him and asks if he is actually a nobleman. Carlet can't believe how sharp this princess is while she continues the interrogation. Fran admits he is out of the diplomat game, so she claps her hands to pivot to a new deal. She drops a massive diplomatic bomb by offering them both full citizenship. The only catch is a tiny favor she needs from Alina. Rosalie grabs her hands and begs for some top-tier food to save the royal dinner. The castle staff is in total chaos, and she is banking on Alana to bail her out. The princess looks distressed as she explains how Alfaldo's lateness ruined the entire schedule. This logistical nightmare is purely his fault. Our boy finally realizes why the castle was such a mess when they arrived. He can't help but curse that dumb prince for making everyone's life harder. Rosalie keeps the emotional pressure high, looking like she is about to lose it. She starts doubting if even Alana can handle a task this difficult. Fran admits the task is a major headache, explaining how the three kingdoms each have totally different food cultures. Brixilios loves their meat, Selgigios is all about the greens, and Alcegios sticks to seafood. Managing all three styles at once is a logistical nightmare that even he is not sure about. A quick question about his fish fileting skills proves she is already committed to staying. She finds the idea of retreating too frustrating to handle. Our girl went from being terrified to being fully locked in, and Fran can hardly keep up with her sudden change in vibes. Something about the situation is not sitting right with her, especially since that arrogant prince and his new girl are out here acting like they own the place. She is absolutely fuming over them publicly flirting while everyone else suffers. She slams her hand down, refusing to turn tail and run from those fools. The annulled engagement is the least of her concerns right now. Watching them flirt is where she draws the line, and the fact that Fran has to clean up their mess is a total insult. She wonders if the kingdom has just given up on their international reputation at this point. Fran thinks that while the stupid prince deserves to fail, the innocent people of Selgigios should not have to pay for his mistakes. Princess Rosalie and her citizens are caught in the crossfire of a disaster they did not even start. Our boy is really the only one thinking about the bigger picture here. A villainous laugh breaks out as she decides this is the perfect chance to flex Fran's genius to the world. She is ready to turn their banishment into a redemption arc by cleaning up the prince's disaster. Fran is just standing there trying to tell her he wants zero parts of this drama. Our boy is just thinking about how their original plan was to keep it simple and just head home after some light business. Lana finally snaps out of it, realizing she was about to turn their peaceful ranch life into a national spectacle. The rest of the group just nods along, completely checked out from the chaotic energy. Rosalie drops a major question about Lana being the prince's former fiancée. Lana brushes it off as old news while Fran just wants to get to the point. The princess hands over the reins and admits they are desperate for a win. She warns them that the local fish are a disaster to catch. The group realizes the castle is empty because everyone is out fishing for the dinner. Calico makes a sudden appearance with a fresh catch of her own. The squad holds a quick meeting to finalize the menu. They decide that pancakes are the safest bet to save the royal reputation. Lana is already in high spirits and ready to hit the kitchen. Fran keeps a level head and reminds her they are only there to provide the recipe. One by one, the entire crew lines up to join the kitchen squad. Whether it is for business or just pure curiosity, everyone wants a piece of the pancake action. Our boy is stunned by how fast the princess adapted to the plan. Lana just shrugs and tells him to accept that the girl is built different. Introducing the Selgigios royal lineup, featuring everyone from the young princess to the king and queen themselves. The dining room vibe is totally cooked as everyone sits around the table in a silence so awkward it is almost painful. Regulus is digging for tea on why the prince was a whole week late to his own arrival. He supposedly took a detour through neighboring lands, but she is just relieved to see Prince Twilight looking healthy. Our girl points out that without someone holding the sacred glow, Seljidges is basically stuck playing defense against their neighbors. She is not buying the story that Rifana was the one holding up the schedule. Regulus wonders if that harmless-looking girl is really the one who snatched the prince away from Alana. That level of calculated move is honestly terrifying. They have done everything possible on their end, so now they just have to watch the event unfold. A sudden roast begins as Regulus asks Alana if she has any regrets about her past men. She reminds her that having a top-tier husband now means there is no reason to look back, leaving Fran completely lost in the sauce. The locals are going all out to make sure the dragon child enjoys her stay after being away for so long. It looks like the happy couple is perfectly fine soaking up all the special treatment and free food. Our boy realizes that with all the recent chaos, he and Lena never actually got a chance to celebrate with a drink. Since they are both officially adults now, having a little alcohol is finally on the table. He catches Lana off guard by asking if she wants to grab a drink once they get back home. She is flustered by the sudden question, but he points out that the other royal couple is already doing it. They agree to save the celebration for when their new store finally opens its doors. The moment is cut short as the first round of food starts hitting the table. The staff explains the multi-course meal plan, covering everything from the soup to the final dessert. It is a full royal experience served in a very specific order. Princess Rosalia is hyped about the ham being shaped like a flower. Lana plays it cool by sharing some manga knowledge about how these high-end meals work. The food is a hit, with the sweet veggies and salted fish pasta impressing everyone at the table. Prince Twee and the others are absolutely loving the flavors. Lana breathes a sigh of relief after the fish dish succeeds despite their lack of high-quality ingredients. She figured a former commoner like Rafana would appreciate the simple salt-grilled style anyway. The staff brings out a palate cleanser that looks like frozen clouds in a bowl. Rafana is hyped over how much it shines, but the kids find out real quick that the dish is ice cold. Lana breaks down the secret, explaining it is just frozen fruit juice with a hint of liquor. Alfaldo looks like he is reconsidering every life choice he has ever made. The prince goes into full PR mode, bragging about his kingdom's new dragonstone tech that finally makes ice accessible. He even promises to introduce everyone to the mastermind behind the meal once they finish. Watching from the sidelines, Regulus mutters about what a massive mistake the prince made. She knows Alfaldo let a literal treasure slip through his fingers when he dumped Lena. The meat course finally hits the table and it is so good the prince's brain is short-circuiting. Rifana is just vibing, asking Twy if he is loving the food as much as she is. Time for the grand finale. Lana and Regulus are relieved the ice cream stayed solid long enough for these pancakes to reach the table for the final dessert. Rifana is obsessed with the sweet and sour combo, while Lana just smiles as her culinary trap closes. Even the prince is forced to admit that this legendary dessert is peak. Fran is feeling himself, the plan is working perfectly, and even though he is stuck in the back, he knows he is the real MVP of this dinner. The grand finale makes an appearance. It is an ice-cold drink that is about to change everyone's life, known simply as iced tea. The impact is immediate and chaotic. Loriana is speechless while Alfaldo is clearly feeling the pressure, but the kids are just vibing with their extra sweet treats. This is more than just a dinner date. If these two end up engaged, it is a total game changer for the kingdom's political map. Keeping Twee happy is the ultimate priority. His presence is a blessing for any nation, so they are making sure he is living his best life here. Alfaldo has seen enough to know this is peak performance. He stands up to formally recognize the meal and demands to meet the genius behind the stove. The moment of truth has arrived. The king starts the introductions, ready to show off the chef and the masterminds behind the legendary technology. We're kicking things off at the royal reception, where Alina's dad is giving Fran the ultimate hype man treatment. He's telling our boy to just look down on the nobles if the pressure gets too real, which is top-tier advice for a social rookie. Fran tries to keep it steady as he officially makes his grand entrance into the spotlight. The second Fran steps inside, Prince Twee comes charging in like a heat-seeking missile. He's already yelling for his favorite chef, and Fran immediately checks in to see if the little guy actually vibed with the meal. Our MC is basically a superstar in the kids' eyes, even if the surrounding adults are keeping things strictly professional. King Gelman is completely caught off guard by the bromance happening right in front of him, and wants to know how they're already so close. Fran starts sweating bullets, realizing he needs to pivot the conversation before his past catches up with him. He successfully switches the focus to Twee's opinion of the kingdom, and the kid is clearly loving every second of it. The room starts buzzing with the kind of talk that shifts borders, as everyone begins whispering about a potential engagement. It turns out Brixilios is desperate for lumber and Seljidges has plenty to spare, making this alliance a total win-win. Fran can feel the royal family's approval radiating toward him for basically handing them a diplomatic jackpot. Twy is a total rookie when it comes to royal romance, so Fran has to break down the concept of an engagement into something he can actually understand. He explains it as a simple promise to stay together forever, stripping away all the heavy political baggage. Princess Rosalia is just watching from the sidelines, trying to process what this means for her future. Loriana steps in to back him up, comparing the new deal to the way Fran and Alana are always joined at the hip. Fran is low-key dying of embarrassment from the comparison, but it seems to get the message across to the kids. Twy turns his attention to the young princess, really starting to consider what it means to be part of a dynamic duo. Twy finally goes for the direct approach, looking Rosalia right in the face and asking if he should just tell her he likes her. The poor princess absolutely short-circuits, turning a literal shade of crimson as the realization hits her like a truck. This political power play just turned into a high-stakes childhood crush, and the atmosphere in the room is officially electric. The princess is totally short-circuiting. She starts stammering about what she will do if they actually get engaged, struggling to get her words out as the pressure gets to her. She finally finds her voice and shouts that she will treasure him forever. The adults in the back are completely losing it, agreeing that the whole display is just way too adorable to handle. Twee gets a comforting head pat and decides that he is totally down for this new arrangement. He suggests they just play together since he only needs to start liking the princess for things to work out. The adults are just standing there realizing these kids have zero idea how real-world politics actually work. They decide to just roll with it for now because the vibe is way too wholesome to ruin. The king decided to strike while the iron was hot and asked if he would officially accept the princess as his fiancée. Twee gives a casual agreement while the poor girl looks like she is about to melt into a puddle of nerves. Twee checks in to see if his new partner is actually doing okay after that whirlwind of an announcement. Princess Rosalie joins in as well, offering her heartfelt congratulations to the newly engaged pair. The king and queen are already planning a massive party to celebrate the news. Letters are being prepared to send back to the other kingdom, officially sealing the diplomatic deal between the two nations. King Gelman is riding the high of the successful dinner and orders a massive party to be thrown by tomorrow. The staff is already internally screaming at the thought of such an impossible deadline. Our boy Fran offers his silent prayers to the castle servants. Compressing a month of party prep into 24 hours is basically a death sentence for their sleep schedules. Prince Alfaldo clears his throat to regain some dignity after being upstaged. He needs to know how they even managed to get fresh ice for the dessert in this climate. The king is all too happy to explain that Fran built a magical icebox called a refrigerator. It was even based on a proposal from Lana, making them the ultimate power couple in the eyes of the court. Gelman keeps the pressure on, bragging about how his new tech can create ice from nothing. He even throws some heavy shade about it being better than the natural stuff found in caves. It turns out the neighboring kingdom has been hogging the natural ice supply for years to keep everyone else down. The king is finally getting his revenge by showing off his unlimited supply. The petty laughing is so blatant that it is actually starting to look a bit childish. Alfaldo can only grit his teeth and watch the king gloat over his new technological edge. The guests are already gossiping about the banishment, but they are more impressed by the talent than the drama. They are practically offering citizenship on the spot to keep the pair in the country. The king is all smiles as he officially grants their request. He wants them to use their unique skills to help the nation reach its full potential. News about the ranch has the king intrigued by their ability to innovate under pressure. He encourages them to turn their difficult past into a bright future for everyone. Alfaldo can only grit his teeth while the king makes it clear that the power dynamic has shifted. It is a rough day for the prince as he realizes he is no longer the center of attention. The duo just walks away from the awkward scene with a smile. They are way too busy planning their next move to care about the prince's hurt feelings. This is the final goodbye as Euphren walks right past the prince. He is officially closing the book on Alfaldo and never looking back. Our boy stretches out with the weight finally off his shoulders. He is done with the drama and just hopes the prince can figure out how to be a real king on his own. They are legit citizens of the kingdom now. The crew is already planning a welcoming party to celebrate the new status. Lana is totally overwhelmed with the love while Fran just rolls with it. If the boss is happy, the mission is a success. The business squad heads out to handle logistics and transport. Our couple gets left alone to catch some fresh air on the terrace. Lana is vibing with the unobstructed night sky. Without trees in the way, the view from the balcony is a masterpiece. Even Fran admits the garden view is top tier. He is already taking notes to build something similar back at the ranch. Our boy realizes they are still dripped out in formal wear and wonders about changing back. He is worried they might be overstaying their welcome in these fancy fits. The staff is working overtime, so Fran decides not to bother them for a wardrobe change. They will just return the gear tomorrow and enjoy the moment a little longer. Fran drops a smooth compliment about her gown, admitting he just wants to savor the moment. Lana is caught off guard by the sudden flirting, while he just laughs off his weird mood. He asks if she is still worried about becoming a citizen, but Lana is stuck in her own head. She fidgets nervously, wondering why he would go so far for her when he could find a much better wife here. Fran reminds her that they are married, but Lana insists it was just a strategic move to protect her. She is convinced she can handle things solo once her cafe is up and running. She hits him with the breakup talk, suggesting he find someone he actually loves while she pays him for work like a regular contractor. Our boy is just standing there processing the fact that he is getting demoted to a business partner. Fran looks devastated and asks if she actually wants to split, causing her to panic. She stammers out that she just thought he hated being stuck with her this entire time. Lana finally snaps and screams that she does not actually want to break up, turning a bright shade of red. Fran is still trying to decode the mood when a sudden voice cuts through the tension from behind. It is the Crown Prince himself, stepping out of the shadows with a cold look in his eyes. He asks where the guards are and starts throwing out wild accusations about betrayal. Fran steps in front of Lana, shielding her from the prince's outburst. He stares down his former boss, addressing him directly as an equal. The vibe shifts instantly when Fran grabs the prince by the shoulder. Instead of starting a fight, our boy is actually begging for dating advice. Alfaldo is losing his mind over potential betrayal, but Fran is on a completely different planet. He is convinced their marital awkwardness is just a lack of riz. Fran drops some cold truths, pointing out that Alfaldo was the one who threw Lina away like trash. He admits he can no longer respect the man the prince has become. He delivers one final piece of advice as a former friend, telling the prince to stop being a disappointment. He even thanks Alfaldo for being incompetent enough to let Lana go. Fran keeps pestering him for tips, blaming his lack of game on the insane overtime Alfaldo forced him to work. The prince just wants him to stop talking. Fed up with the nonsense, Alfaldo storms off and tells him to figure it out himself. Fran is left standing there, still clueless about how to express his feelings. Fran strolls back to Lana like he did not just ask his former boss for dating tips. She is immediately suspicious and wants the tea on their conversation, but he just hits her with a deep quote about how hard it is to express feelings. Our MC really just dodged the question with a philosophical vibe check. After a grueling 4-day stint making refrigerators and freezers, the job is finally done. Lana is ready to head home. Lana is riding high after perfecting her wheat bread recipe. Since Princess Rosalie gave them the green light, they are officially opening a bakery in the capital. Fran is just impressed by how mature the 12-year-old princess acts. Regulus has that suspicious business owner smile while she plans to sell the new gear in Heldios. Fran is already feeling the burnout from the surprise workload increase. Doubling the inventory might be a bit much for our boy. It is time for Regulus to head out, but she expects to see them in a month. She leaves Lana with a cliffhanger question about the name of her cafe. Fran is already stressing about the tight deadline. While the staff handles the shop build, the marketing side is all on them. Lana is visibly glitching under the pressure of naming the brand. Signboards and flyers need to happen yesterday. Before Regulus leaves, our MC has a little surprise for her. He unveils a parting gift with a flare. Regulus is staring at a massive wooden crate with vents, wondering what the heck it is. Fran drops the reveal with a smug grin. Our boy just invented air conditioning in a fantasy world. Lana explains that a jackhammer is definitely out of the question. Regulus is confused by the term aircon, while Grice is hyped because his dragon stones finally have a use. Operating this thing is simple. One switch starts the breeze, and a quick turn of the knob drops the temperature instantly. These two are stuck in a loop of giving each other credit for the invention. Regulus has to step in and tell them to settle down before it gets even more awkward. Lana bows in agreement when Regulus reminds her about the naming struggle. She tries to stay positive and thanks everyone for the gift before they prepare to leave. Princess Rosalie waves goodbye as the group finally hits the road. Lana is determined to have the bakery name figured out by the time they finish their journey. Fast forward 2 weeks. A massive typhoon known as the Dragon Howl is hitting the neighboring lands, marking exactly 6 months since their banishment. The storm is no joke. Lana nearly gets swept away by the wind before Fran catches her and pulls her into a safe spot under the porch. Fran notices Lana has been acting totally sus since they left the capital. He tries to check on her, but she just glitches out and bolts before he can even finish his sentence. Our boy calls her out on the silence. He realizes she is struggling to put all those chaotic feelings into actual words. Fran admits he gets tongue-tied too. He suggests the ultimate old-school move, writing a letter to dump all that mental baggage onto paper. He thinks writing everything out will help them both organize their thoughts. It is a solid plan to fix the awkwardness that has been building up. Lena actually vibes with the idea for a dark reason. She thinks a letter is way easier to throw away if she ends up getting dumped on paper. They agree to a letter exchange once the storm passes. Fran locks in and prepares for his toughest mission yet, successfully flirting with his own wife. The dragon howl rages outside while Fran fights for his life against writer's block. He ends the night buried in a graveyard of failed drafts because articulating his riz is impossible. Gordo's squad hits the ranch to make sure our boy Fran hasn't burned the place down yet. They claim they're only here because they were worried the amateurs would struggle without some pro support. One of the guys mentions that the school is opening in October and Lana is already handling her part of the business. Fran is just glad to have the extra help with the iron supply. The project is blowing up with nearly 100 applicants from the local towns already gathered. Mr. Chloe is the only one keeping it real, asking if they even have enough food to feed that many people. Fran casually mentions they had so many crops they started using them as fertilizer for even more growth. Chloe loses his mind at the waste and tells him to start sending that food to the students immediately. The team is putting a lot of faith in young Erlet to help manage the new school at only 16. Chloe tells Fran to stop wasting time and go greet the applicants who are already waiting. Finding skilled dragon stone crafters is basically impossible, but Erlet is stepping up to cover the shortage. Fran is still trying to figure out the logistics while the school expansion moves at light speed. Lana shuts everyone up by bringing out a tray of shaved ice for the thirsty workers. The crew goes absolutely wild for the dessert, leaving Fran totally confused by the sudden shift in energy. Lana has a vision for the next big hit. She wants to take natural ice and turn it into shaved ice topped with fruit and sweet syrup. Our boy is having a serious identity crisis over the snack. He feels like a criminal for eating royal delicacies this way while fighting for his life against a massive brain freeze. The workers do not care about the politics. They are just vibing with the frozen treats and claiming the sugar hit is reaching their actual souls. Lana is ready to lock this in for the summer menu, but then reality hits. She realizes they still have not even named the shop yet. The clock is ticking since opening day is only a few weeks away. Fran steps up and offers to help with the naming process, which is a rare W for his social skills. Lana's excitement levels are through the roof. A sudden hug leads to a massive system error, causing both of them to jump apart in pure awkwardness. Stables are the only safe place now. Fran is currently trying to recover from the social overload by talking to a horse. Fran is having a main character moment while leaning on his horse. He is trying to figure out how to express his feelings, but everything feels impossible to put into words. Fran returns to talk about the store name, but the news is bad. Chloe explains that it takes a full month just to get a signboard made. Lana is totally stressed because that delay pushes their opening back to mid-September. Even Fran is starting to realize how cooked their timeline is. Fran pulls out his list of potential names anyway to keep the momentum going. Lana is currently dealing with the news by throwing a mini tantrum and stomping around. The list is full of words like destiny and fate. Lana admits they sound more like legendary bullet trains than a local bakery. Lana is a bit lost since she doesn't actually understand what half these names mean. She turns to Fran and asks him to just pick one for them. After a lot of nodding and some deep thought, they decide to just go with the flow. Lana chooses destiny as the winner, even though she is still confused by the word. Fran checks in on Lana as she stands there looking deep in thought. The names are officially set, destiny for the cafe and fate for the bakery, and Fran is already planning to get the order to Chloe. Lana confesses she chose the names purely on vibes, but Fran is just happy they finally have a direction. She explains that the words come from a special character in her past world that signifies a blessed relationship. Fran agrees that if they are leaning into the relationship theme, they are already a tailor-made fit for this kingdom. Lana almost lets a secret slip about the true meanings before her face turns red and she hides behind her notes. Watching the crew demolish the snacks, the duo decides it is time to build even more ice machines to keep up with the demand. Lana is busy in the kitchen, slicing fruit while she drops a bombshell about her past life. She wants to bring a summer festival to this kingdom, just like the ones from her home world. Fran has never heard of anything like that, but Lana is already picturing the stalls, dancing, and fireworks. The local workers remind her so much of festival staff that she is basically already sold on the idea. The plan is in motion as the duo serves up snacks to the team. Lana decides she is going to pitch the whole festival idea to Regulus as soon as the merchant returns. Lana's imagination is running wild, picturing herself in a yukata while everyone dances to taiko drums. She even figures out a way to make it official by framing it as a prayer for safety against the dragon. The hype is real until reality finally sets in for our girl. She realized she forgot that festivals usually have actual religious purposes, not just being an excuse to party. Back to business, Lana thanks Mr. Chloe as he looks over the names for their new shops. They are cutting it close with a 2-week deadline, and now they realize they do not even have a menu yet. While they stress about the bakery, Mr. Chloe notices their new puppy is lacking some basic gear. He offers to craft a collar and a mailbox for their home, keeping the village vibes wholesome. The trade is officially on. Chloe agrees to craft the gear in exchange for a top-tier chiffon cake and 3 kinds of jam, promising to have everything ready in 2 days. The shiny new mailbox finally arrives, but it is a total call-out for the duo. Both of them realize they have been procrastinating on their letters and are nowhere near ready to actually send anything yet. Fran is back at it with the modern engineering, finally tackling the most important invention of all, the budget. He double-checks his work, hoping he actually got the mechanics right this time. One quick click of the button to test it out. Elsewhere, back at the cafe, the vibe is peaceful until a wobbly silhouette stumbles through the front door. Lana looks up from her notes, totally caught off guard by the sudden visitor. Our boy casually strolls into the main room to drop the news that the budded is officially live. He is low-key traumatized by the lack of plumbing lore in this world, so he is just happy he never has to deal with a cold seat again. Lana is hyped, praising him for being the fastest engineer in the kingdom. She asks the real question, did he actually test it? Fran gives a silent, dignified nod, confirming the experience was life-changing. The wholesome moment gets cut short by a heavy knock at the door. A mysterious hooded figure is standing at the entrance, looking absolutely sketch. He is trembling like crazy and Fran immediately senses the bad energy, telling Lana to stay back inside while he handles it. Fran stares at the beat-up carriage parked outside and already knows his peaceful day is cooked. This dude is practically begging the universe not to drop more drama on his plate. The visitor is actually Dardis, and he is bringing some heavy news about a village called Dagon getting wrecked by a dragon's howl. All Fran can do is offer his condolences as the weight of the situation sets in. Dardis reveals that the survivors from Dagon are only those with no family left, and Fran suddenly realizes the weight of what is inside that carriage. It turns out a noble named Starlet had been capping about the situation, reporting that the Klagan district was totally fine despite the destruction. Starlet's family runs the local infrastructure, and he forced Dardis to cover up his own trash-tier construction work. This level of corruption is beyond salvation. Since Dagon is right on the border, people were bound to notice a whole village getting deleted from the map and the tax revenue vanishing. The evacuation centers were so poorly built they just got washed away, and the higher-ups didn't even care because the victims had no family left to speak for them. The pure incompetence of the situation gives our boy a massive headache, making him wonder if Starlet even knows what he is doing. Fran agrees to help and snitch to his father the judge, making Dardis finally see a glimmer of hope in this mess. Our boy is officially done playing nice, deciding it is time to snitch to Alfaldo and the king about the corruption. This chapter of the mess is closed. Dardis reveals he brought 32 survivors along for the ride. Looking at the crowded carriage, Fran asks what they actually plan to do next. The choices are tough, moving to a new kingdom, or going back to a ruined home. Dardis knows their fate depends on their will, but he can't give an answer yet. These people are beyond exhausted and lost every relative they had in the disaster. Pressing them for a life-changing decision right now just isn't an option. Realizing the situation is too heavy for one person to carry, Lana starts to walk away. Fran watches Dardis, knowing the man made the right choice by coming here for help. Time for a team meeting. Fran reaches for the door, knowing he needs Lena's input before they take another step. Plot twist: Lana was eavesdropping the whole time and is already fired up. She tells him to bring everyone into the shop, brandishing a ladle to let him know she is in charge. Alana shuts down the logic, claiming it is only natural for people to be curious when told to stay away. She marches straight to the carriage and demands it be opened immediately. Without a single care for how tired they are, she waves a ladle around and calls for any volunteers with cooking skills. To Fran's shock, the survivors actually start raising their hands and filing out of the carriage. Even in their state, they are eager to help, with one woman stepping up to join the kitchen crew. Dardis is completely lost and asks who she is. His confusion disappears instantly as he recognizes her as the high-ranking Lady Alana. Fran tries to jog her memory by pointing out that this guy was their classmate and the son of a count. Alana just stares back with 2 panels of pure, empty silence. Our boy realizes her indifference is on another level. It is not just that she forgot him, it is like she barely acknowledged his existence as a fellow human being. She tries to play it cool by claiming her memory is just a bit vague, but it is not working. Dardis tells her to stop the cap and just admit she has no idea who he is. Fran calls out her cold behavior, but Lana just blames her messy memory before telling their former classmate it does not matter who he is. That logic has Dardis rightfully concerned. She shuts down the argument with a finger point, ordering him to hit the town with Fran immediately. Full manager mode activated. Lina starts barking orders to get the camp set up and the kitchen moving before the shops close for the night. Our boy is catching major feelings. Seeing his wife take charge like this has him blushing and wondering how she can be so dashing. Drag mode is on as Fran pulls a dazed Dardis away to follow orders while Lana keeps her focus on the logistics of helping such a large group. She knew exactly what she was doing by sending the guys to town. Getting local authorities and the Doltonels involved is the only way to manage everyone's uncertain future. Layers upon layers define this girl in Fran's eyes. She is a tactical genius with a heart of gold, even if she looks exhausted from the effort. Fran and Dardis head out to buy supplies, promising to bring back enough blankets for every single survivor. Inside the carriage, Fran drops a heavy question about the casualties that leaves a stressed-out Dardis completely rattled. The grim reality sets in as Fran realizes these 32 people did not just leave home, they lost their entire families. Our boy kicks back and tells Dardis that while his heart was in the right place, running away with no plan was a total rookie move. He hopes his blunt lecture finally helps the guy understand the massive weight of the lives he is now responsible for. The legal drama is just starting, because without the right paperwork, this whole rescue mission is going to be a bureaucratic nightmare. Staring into the unknown, Fran wonders how the world is actually going to judge Dardis for his reckless heroics. A flick of the wrist signals the end of the debate. Fran decides he'll make the guy write home while he sends a full report of the disaster to his own father. Fran's gaze turns ice cold as he pins the blame for this tragedy squarely on the prince's arrogance. Collapsed on the floor, Dardis struggles to reconcile the harsh man before him with the friend he used to know. Back at the ranch, Mr. Clo takes one look at the ragged crowd and immediately knows his morning is ruined. He asks what kind of mess the couple has dragged home this time. Fran can feel the intense glare burning a hole through the back of his head. He scans the area for his business partners while the local boss just stands there judging the vibes. Dardis is still buffering in the corner after his lecture. Our boy ignores the awkwardness and asks whether the survivors have finally decided on their next move. Lana steps up as the official spokesperson for the group. She confirms the Dagon villagers are looking to ditch their old life and start fresh right here on the ranch. Transitioning to a new country sounds great until the legal paperwork starts. Lana asks if they are ready for full citizenship, and the refugees are just hoping it is a free trial. The exit fee is a tax trap. Fran drops the bomb that leaving their old kingdom officially costs a full gold coin per person, leaving the group shook. It is a classic gatekeeping move by the kingdom to keep the workers from escaping. Fran explains that they only dodged the fee because they were kicked out, making the old kingdom basically a gilded prison. The reality of the exit fee hits like a truck, since a single gold coin is basically a decade of savings for a normal person. Lana watches him closely, knowing this impossible cost is exactly why they are trapped. Lana drops the punchline, telling them they only have one real choice left. Dardis thinks she is being a bit ruthless, but our girl reminds him they are running a business, not a charity. Her simple solution is to have the survivors enroll in their new dragon stone crafting school. The man is stunned, realizing this might actually be his ticket to a new life. Fran takes over the technical talk, explaining that they are drowning in new tech, but don't have enough hands to actually build it. Lana jumps in with her usual energy, ready to pitch her school for crafters. The new school is a joint venture backed by the Doltnells and local bosses to train workers in the area. With unemployment spiking, they have a prime location to turn refugees into a pro workforce. More crafters means more dragon stones to sell, which boosts their monthly profits by a solid 10%. It is a grind, but the math works out perfectly for everyone involved. Under the new terms, they keep half the profits from their work while the other half pays off their tuition. The villagers can't believe their luck, worried it sounds almost too good to be true. Lana offers them a deal they can't refuse, trading room and board for some shifts at her new shop. She promises plenty of that top-tier bread from earlier if they join the team. While Dardis processes the idea of working for bread, Fran knows this is their best shot at freedom. Plans are already in motion to export their tech across the borders. If this trade spreads, the entire continent's economy is about to get a wake-up call. Our girl keeps it simple, pushing more snacks on the crew while they talk business. Fran realizes they are accidentally building a world power, even if his wife is just in it for the vibes. Guardian dragons might prevent a physical war, but the upcoming economic friction is unavoidable. One look at Lina's smile and he decides the drama is worth it. Our boy is officially done with the old kingdom and the drama from his past. He's happy to see his new friends prosper, but his only real priority is staying happy with Lina. The original plot can burn for all he cares. As long as Lana is safe and happy, the rest of the world's story can fall apart in real time. Lana is already planning the ranch expansion, telling Dardis he can work the fields if he is too shy for customers. He is spiraling, realizing noble status won't save him from manual labor. She is completely over the excuses and drops the ultimate threat of sending him back home. He is left stuttering in terror as she slams her point home. Fran watches from the sidelines, knowing his wife is an unstoppable force. He turns the conversation to the villagers, asking Mr. Karn for a pulse check on their feelings. Logistics are set for tomorrow, and Mr. Karn is officially the point man. He is the youngest of the crew but already proving to be way more reliable than their former classmate. Karn heads off to gather opinions from the rest of the group. Leno is already looking to fill spots in the bakery and the new school. The hard truth is that most of the survivors are too old or young for heavy lifting. The thought of the corrupt nobles who caused this mess makes everyone's stomach turn. Dardis tries to beg for a lifeline, but Fran just waves him off with zero pity. He is officially on his own in this management boot camp. Our MC figures the prince will finally act once his report arrives, but he can't help feeling a bit of pity for the guy's situation. Lana catches him completely off guard by leaning in way too close for comfort. He's struggling to stay composed as she casually asks if he and Dardis are actually friends. She keeps the pressure on, wondering if they are actually tight or just acquaintances. Fran stammers out a vague answer, his brain totally short-circuiting because of how close she is standing. He drops some cold noble logic, explaining that real friends don't exist in their world, only people on close terms. Lana is surprised, admitting she thought he would have been way more popular. The MC admits his mind was such a mess from her proximity that he barely heard a word she said. He notices Dardis looking absolutely devastated and wonders what exactly caused that reaction. A quick look back reminds him that his time with the Crown Prince was no different, as he was just an errand boy. Even after all those years, they never even gave off the vibe of being close. He still doesn't get why Dardis looks so hurt by his words. In his mind, their relationship is just like any other noble connection, purely professional and nothing more. Fran looks back at the silhouette of the woman he loves, realizing she must have been a natural social butterfly in her past life. Despite the rough start to her story, her radiant vibes have everyone in this new kingdom completely charmed by her strong will. Our boy finally understands why his detached way of living seems so bizarre to someone as vibrant as his wife. Being the target of a massive emotional trauma dump from a guy he barely knows has him feeling way out of his depth. Dealing with high-level fools was easy, but his total lack of experience with women is finally catching up to him. Lana suddenly gets flustered and decides to save her thoughts for a letter, leaving him completely baffled as she switches back into her usual high-energy mode. The local farmer checks in to make sure she is actually ready to feed 30 extra people with the current harvest. Lana is crunching the numbers while surrounded by vegetable icons. The ranch crew is low-key sweating about whether the current harvest can actually feed 30 extra people. Mr. Clow keeps it real by suggesting they just move the applicants to the dorms where fields are already being built. A crafting school with its own farm is a weird flex, but he thinks it gets the job done. Lana and Fran officially lay down the law for Dardis. He is told to stay in town while waiting for his family, because there is zero room for him at their place or the shop. Out of nowhere, Regulus makes a flashy entrance by glomping a terrified Dardis. She is already trying to hustle him into buying a horse using Fran's money. Regulus is back in town and striking a full diva pose just for the drama. While Lana is shocked by the quick return, Fran just wonders if the theatricality is really mandatory. She has been busy delivering their cooling tech but swung by to talk shop with Mr. Clow. She has already caught the scent of their new project, which catches Lana off guard. With a cryptic laugh, she admits she has run into a bit of a roadblock. Even for a top-tier merchant like her, this new problem might be a bit much to handle solo. Regulus drops the news that she is here for a serious consult, making the air in the room get heavy fast. The squad turns to head inside, but you can feel the dread radiating off them. Their faces say it all, and ominous is an understatement. Regulus is hyped that Alana is picking up what she is putting down. Lana tries to keep it professional, steering the chaos toward the shop for a proper sit-down. Fran is already in full leave-me-alone mode, wanting nothing to do with this new development. Lana handles the logistics, telling Dardis to keep the villagers company while the adults talk business. Our boy just shakes his head, completely done with the drama. Regulus is not backing down though, pointing out that networking with merchants is a non-negotiable if they want to thrive here. The bell chimes as they step into the new space, which is looking surprisingly ready for business. Regulus is low-key impressed by the setup, while Lana is already busy serving up some treats. They get down to brass tacks about the bakery opening. Everyone agrees that rushing things is for amateurs, and they are not about that second-rate business life. Chloe is just vibing and enjoying his food while the girls get fired up. Regulus and Lana are officially locked in, ready to put their new workforce to good use. The squad cuts to the chase and asks about the roadblocks standing in their way. A tired look crosses Mr. Clow's face as he realizes he has been roped into the plan with Lord Doltonal's blessing. Regulus strikes a theatrical pose, cryptically claiming that her dream has finally come true. Regulus sets the mood with a mysterious question about dreams, catching everyone off guard. Lana is in complete disbelief, questioning if the orphanage was actually bought out from under them. Our boy Fran just sits back, finally starting to see the bigger picture of this crazy deal. A quick trip down memory lane reminds us of Regulus's long-term goal to buy the place that raised her. But there is a much deeper reason why this purchase matters so much for the future of their business. Heldios is basically an island where the weak get crushed and independence is everything. The orphanage was never really about the kids, but served as a way for foreign powers to keep tabs on the region. Neglected children were just pawns in a much larger game of survival. The facility was basically a front for collecting international aid money while the kids suffered in poor conditions. Regulus and her brother were some of the few who managed to make it out in one piece. Lana cuts through the heavy atmosphere, sensing the dark implications of this reveal. Confirming the facts, the group realizes that buying a building funded by multiple countries is a major power move. By taking the orphanage, someone is effectively closing a window of foreign influence. It is not just about the property, it is about total control. Regulus drops a massive bombshell, revealing that she has officially become the new window into the region. The squad is floored by the sheer scale of her ambition. MC is probably recalculating her entire threat level right now. Lana is stunned by the risk while Fran wonders how the local chief even agreed to such a wild deal. Apparently, even the most stubborn traditionalists cannot resist high-quality dragonstone tools. If the gear carries the guardian dragon's power, they are more than willing to compromise. Regulus knows exactly how to play her cards with the Heldians. Our boy Fran can only nod along as the pieces of this business deal finally fall into place. The demand is already through the roof. It turns out high-quality dragonstone tools are so valuable that the local chief was willing to trade an entire orphanage for a single cooler. Regulus suggests building a new orphanage right next to the crafting school so the kids stay safe, Mr. Chloe is not about to let her skirt the bill, making it clear that every coin for this project is coming out of her own pocket. Fran is getting stressed about the logistics, wondering who will actually watch the kids during construction. Regulus just finds his concerns sweet, while Chloe tries to keep everyone grounded. Moving to a new kingdom is a lot for anyone, but these kids have already survived far worse. Fran realizes he cannot argue with the fact that these orphans are much tougher than they look. Lana is caught off guard when Fran suddenly drops the nice guy act. Regulus just keeps poking the bear, asking why he has such a scary look on his face if he supposedly loves kids. Red hair is considered a bad omen in this kingdom, so the kids cannot stay in town. Since Fran fits the profile of a red-haired noble who can watch over them, the plan to build the orphanage right next to his ranch is set in stone. Regulus doubles down, insisting the business deal is the only reason they're taking in the kids. Lena's just standing there with a smirk, fully aware her friend is a softie in denial. Regulus starts looking at Fran in a new light, realizing he has that earnest big brother energy. He admits his experience with kids just comes from dealing with his own siblings back home. Counting them out, there are only 7 kids in total. Fran is genuinely baffled by the low count, looking at his hands like he is missing something. Even Mr. Chloe is shocked at how few orphans there are. He looks at Fran with a bit of a sweat drop, wondering what kind of chaos our boy was actually anticipating. Turns out Fran was low-key prepared to manage an army of 30. Regulus is absolutely losing it, telling him he is expecting way too much while he tries to play it cool. Regulus shifts the mood, pointing out that the kids might face issues in town because of their red hair. Chloe is not having any of that discrimination talk, standing firm that nobody is going to mess with the little ones. Regulus asks if they can build the orphanage near the town if he is so confident. Chloe immediately regrets his tough talk, scratching his head as he realizes he cannot speak for everyone in town. The vibe instantly dies as Chloe admits he can't actually guarantee how the townsfolk will act. Discrimination against red hair runs so deep that everyone knows the kids are the ones who'll really pay the price. Regulus looks genuinely concerned for the eldest orphan. I'm a bit worried about that 16-year-old girl. Lana doesn't quite get the danger, prompting a silent stare from her friends. Fran does the math for her, explaining that a girl in a school that's 80% male is already in a dangerous spot. The realization finally hits Chloe. It's true that there are some disgusting guys out there. Regulus decides they need a practical fix. Fine, I guess we'll have to buy a guard dog for her from Wise's place. Whispers are already spreading about our boy's bank account. They can't believe he is ready to drop serious cash on kids he hasn't even met yet. Lana is already thinking about home defense. She is convinced that a few well-trained dogs could take down a whole squad of bandits, leaving everyone else stunned. Turns out Fran actually has the skills for this. His past life as a royal bodyguard meant he had to learn the ins and outs of training elite hunting dogs. Lana hits him with the realization that he actually likes kids. Our MC is naturally clueless, wondering why everyone is staring him down. She tries to play it off casually while suggesting the orphanage be built right next to the ranch. She even suggests Fran could stay the night there to keep things convenient. Fran is falling right into the trap. He is not thrilled about being an instructor, but he agrees that checking on the kids is a priority. Complete ignorance is bliss for this guy. While he thinks about how great Lina is for liking children, he admits he is falling even harder for her. Regulus is loving the energy now that the team is aligned. Chloe gets the green light to take charge of the orphanage construction. Still a bit confused, Regulus asks for a quick guide on what makes an orphanage special. She pulls Alana aside to talk shop for a moment. Alana heads off to restock the snack pile, which makes Chloe look way more excited than he probably should be. Fran is just trying to survive the vibe. Out on the ranch, the clock is ticking to find a safe house. They need to move the kids before their unique looks start drawing unwanted attention. Moving them into the dorms seems like the best play for now. The only catch is making sure they never run into any of the regular students. Alana drops a bombshell and offers to host all 7 kids in her own home. The sudden intensity of the offer leaves Fran floored. Regulus is relieved Alana stepped up, even if she was secretly planning to force the job on her anyway. Our boy's eyes are already sparkling at the thought of a full house. They have enough space to separate the kids by gender, though the timing is a bit awkward with the shop opening next month. Even if things are tight, they are committed to making the space work. Regulus brings up a solid point, asking if they are sure about taking in 7 kids when they are supposed to be newlyweds. She wants to make sure they are not ruining their own honeymoon phase. Our MC is totally oblivious and asks if there is some kind of weird rule against newlyweds being parents. He really has no idea what she is actually implying. Lana tries to brush it off while turning a bright shade of red. Fran is still stuck on the details and demands to know what kind of thing she is talking about. Seeing that they are both socially hopeless, Regulus just sighs and tells them to have it their way. There is no point in trying to explain the vibe to people this dense. Lana shifts back into manager mode and sets a deadline for the final decision. She plans to bring the orphans over as soon as the doctor clears them with a clean bill of health. Regulus agrees to the plan but keeps a close eye on Fran. She notices that he is surprisingly willing to go along with anything as long as Lana and the children are happy. Lana is already mapping out her schedule, from meetings with lords to sorting out the kids' new living situation. She is basically the CEO of this operation now. Chloe is out here acting like a grumpy old man because the workload is starting to pile up. Our boy just hits him with the greater good card to keep him moving. Before they can get down to business, Chloe needs a quick pit stop and heads for the house. The shop does not have a bathroom yet, so he is about to experience the main house's amenities. As he walks away, Lana gets that sudden feeling that she definitely forgot to mention something important. Whatever is waiting for him in that bathroom, it is probably too late to warn him. They shift focus to the snack menu, but Lana is feeling a little devious. She remembers Chloe's wife mentioned he hates veggies, so she is already plotting a way to sneak some into his food. She decides to go full chaotic mode and force feed the man his greens, claiming a grown adult in a farming country has no business being picky. Her villain arc is suddenly interrupted by a scream of terror coming from inside the house. Chloe comes stumbling back looking like he just saw a ghost, leaving the dude wondering what on earth happened. The man is physically shaking after his brief visit to the house. Chloe comes storming back and grabs our boy by the collar, demanding to know what kind of black magic is in that bathroom. The warm seat was cool, but he was not ready for a surprise water attack. Regulus leans in to check out the commotion while Fran tries to survive the interrogation. Our MC is panicking, but Lana just watches the chaos unfold with a blank face. Lana decides it is time for a live demo and pushes Regulus toward the bathroom, claiming she is going to love it. The merchant is skeptical of the tech, but there is no escaping the wife's marketing strategy. Fran keeps the cycle of trauma going with a bright smile, telling Dardis it is his turn next. It was a rough day for everyone involved, as the screams of the victims echoed throughout the house.
That's it for today, guys!
If you made it to the end, comment OP so I know you're real ones. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it really helps the channel grow. Until then, keep on cooking.